May 15th, 1944. Evening, Dorchester, England. My name is James Kellerman, Staff Sergeant, Company D, 2nd Ranger, Battalion, United States Army. Most people call me Jimmy. I'm 24 years old, from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Before all this, I was a history teacher at William Allen High School, taught American history, coached junior varsity baseball. Seems like another lifetime now. I'm starting this diary tonight because something's changed. The training feels different, more urgent. Colonel Rudder pulled us all together this afternoon and told us we're transitioning from training to operational preparation. He didn't say much else, but you could see it in his eyes. This is real now. I'm sitting on my bunk in the barracks. The light's terrible, just a single bulb hanging from the ceiling, but it'll have to do. Around me, the other men are writing letters home, playing cards, cleaning rifles for the 100th time. Brooklyn's doing push-ups in the corner. That man never stops moving. Corporal Mike DeLuca. Everyone calls him Brooklyn because that's all he talks about. His wife Angela and their baby daughter Rose. He's never met Rose. She was born 3 months after he shipped out. He keeps her picture tucked in his helmet, wrapped in oilcloth to keep it dry. Shows it to anyone who'll look. And then there's Tommy. Private, first class Thomas Wright from somewhere in Tennessee. 19 years old with a face full of freckles and a drawl so thick I sometimes have to ask him to repeat himself. Good kid. Eager. Maybe too eager. I got a letter from Sarah today. She's still in London with the Red Cross. The envelope smelled like her perfume, lavender. I held it for a full minute before I could bring myself to open it. She writes about wedding plans, what kind of flowers we should have. Whether St. John's Lutheran or St. Paul's Episcopal. She's picking out churches for a wedding that might never happen. I should write her back tonight, but I don't know what to say. How do I tell her that every day the training gets harder, more brutal, that we're preparing for something big and I'm terrified I won't measure up? My hands are already sore. We spent 8 hours today climbing cliffs with full packs. Rope burns across both palms. The instructors say we need to be able to scale a 100-foot cliff in under 5 minutes. 100 feet. That's 10 stories straight up. Under fire. I keep thinking about my students back home. Wondered if any of them remember their history lessons. I used to teach them about D-Day at Normandy. Wait. No. That hasn't happened yet. I taught them about other wars, the Great War, the Civil War. I'd read them letters from soldiers, first-hand accounts of battle. I never understood those letters. Not really. I do now. The man who wrote those letters was scared. When he described the fear before battle, I thought I knew what he meant. I didn't. You can't understand that kind of fear by reading about it. You have to feel your own heart pounding at 3 a.m, your own hands shaking when you try to load your rifle. Colonel Rudder keeps saying we're the best, that we're Rangers, and Rangers lead the way. I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him. But I lie in my bunk at night and wonder if I'll freeze up when it matters, if I'll let my men down, if I'll die before I get to marry Sarah and have children and teach again. Brooklyn just asked me if I'm writing a novel. I told him I'm just writing home. Easier than explaining this. A diary feels too personal, too vulnerable. Men don't keep diaries. Boys do. But I'm keeping one anyway. Because I'm a history teacher and I know how important primary sources are. If something happens to me, maybe someday someone will read this and understand what it was really like. Not the sanitized version in textbooks, the real thing. I can hear someone singing down the hall. I'll be seeing you. Everyone's favorite lately. Makes us all think about home. I should sleep. We've got another training exercise at dawn. More cliff climbing, more rope burns, more preparing for whatever's coming. My grandfather came to America from Bavaria in 1891. Kellerman. It's a German name. Sometimes I wonder if that's why I volunteered for the Rangers. Had to prove something. Had to show I'm American through and through. We're going to fight Germans. Men who might have the same last name as me. Men whose grandfathers might have known my grandfather. War is strange that way. I'm tired. My eyes are burning. I should stop writing and get some sleep. If you're reading this, Sarah, know that I love you. Know that I think about you every single day. Know that I'm trying to be brave enough to come home to you. May 22nd, 1944. Night. Somewhere in Scotland. We're back from the worst training exercise yet. I can barely hold this pen. They took us to the coast. Real cliffs this time. Not practice walls. Not ropes hung from towers. Actual vertical rock faces dropping straight into the North Sea. 100 feet high. Maybe more. It's hard to judge distance when you're looking straight up at something that wants to kill you. We started at dawn. Full combat gear. Rifle, pack, ammunition, grenades. 68 pounds of equipment. Then they gave us the ropes. Toggle ropes, they call them. 6 feet long with a wooden toggle at one end. You're supposed to throw the toggle to the man above you. He catches it, loops it through his equipment, and pulls you up. Chain of men climbing a cliff face. Sounds simple. It's not. The rope was wet. My hands were wet. Everything was wet from the spray coming off the ocean. Salt water burning in the rope burns from yesterday. I grabbed the rope and started climbing, hand over hand. Don't look down. That's what they told us. Never look down. I looked down. The rocks below looked like teeth, black and jagged, waves smashing against them. If you fall, you die. Well, that's all there is to it. Halfway up, my hands started slipping. I could feel the rope sliding through my palms. I grabbed tighter, but that just made it worse. The harder I squeezed, the more it burned. There was a man above me, Private Henderson. He was struggling too. I could see his boots just a few feet over my head. He kept slipping, catching himself, slipping again. Then he fell. Just like that. 1 second he was there. The next second he was past me, screaming. The safety harness caught him. That's the only reason he's alive. We all wear harnesses during training, steel cable attached to a rope that someone holds at the top. If you fall, you swing like a pendulum, slam into the rock face. But you don't die. Henderson hit the cliff about 20 feet below me. I heard the impact, heard him grunt. He was lucky. Broken arm, they said later. Could have been so much worse. I froze. Couldn't move. My hands were locked on the rope and I couldn't make them let go, couldn't make them climb higher. Just hung there like an idiot while men below me yelled to keep moving. Brooklyn climbed up beside me. He was on a different rope, but close enough to talk. Kellerman, he said. Jimmy, look at me. I looked at him. You're fine, he said. You're not going to fall. You've got a safety line. Even if you do fall, you won't die. Not today. Now climb. So I climbed, got to the top somehow. Hands bleeding, arms shaking, but I made it. Colonel Rudder was waiting at the top, looked each of us in the eye as we came over the edge. When it was my turn, he just nodded. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. We did it 6 more times today, 6 times up those cliffs. By the end, I was moving on pure instinct. Couldn't think anymore. Couldn't feel my hands. Just climb, reach the top, rappel back down, climb again. Tonight in the barracks, the medic wrapped my hands in gauze. Said I'd torn off most of the skin on my palms. Said it would heal tough. Calluses are good for climbing, he said. I told him I didn't want calluses. I wanted to go home and teach history and never climb anything higher than the ladder to change a light bulb. He laughed. Thought I was joking. After dinner, Colonel Rudder gave us a speech. Said we're earning the title Ranger with every drop of blood we shed. Said there's a mission coming that will require blood sacrifice. That we need to be ready to give everything, blood sacrifice. Those words keep echoing in my head. Tommy asked me how to spell sacrifice after. He's writing a letter to his mother. Writes her every few days. I've noticed he keeps the sentences simple. Short words. I'm starting to understand why. I helped him with some of the harder words. He thanked me, embarrassed, said he never got much schooling. Had to work his daddy's farm soon as he was old enough to hold a plow. Made me think about all my students back home. How I took their education for granted, how I complained when they didn't do their homework. Tommy would have killed for the chance to sit in a warm classroom and learn how to read better. I'm lying in my bunk now. My hands throb. Every heartbeat sends pain shooting up my arms. I took some aspirin, but it's not helping much. I keep thinking about Henderson falling. That scream. The way he just slipped and dropped. We won't have safety harnesses when it matters. When we do this for real. I don't want to die, God. I really don't want to die. But more than that, I don't want to freeze up and let my men die because I was too scared to move. Is that what courage is? Being more afraid of failing your friends than of dying yourself? I used to think I understood courage, taught about it in class. The Minutemen at Lexington and Concord, Washington crossing the Delaware, all those brave men doing brave things. They were just as scared as me. Had to be. They just did it anyway. I need to sleep. Tomorrow they're taking us back to the cliffs. My hands hurt so much. May 28th, 1944. Afternoon. Train to London. I'm on leave. 48 hours. It feels like a dream. Sarah's in London. She took the train up from her Red Cross posting. We're meeting at Waterloo Station in 2 hours. My hands are finally healing. The medic was right about the calluses. My palms feel like leather now. Tough and thick. I hate it. These aren't a teacher's hands anymore. I keep thinking about what I'm going to say to her, what I can say, what I'm allowed to say. Nothing about the mission. That's classified. Can't tell her where we're going or what we're doing. Can't even tell her we're leaving soon. So what do I talk about? The weather? How much I miss Allentown? The truth is I'm terrified to see her, because seeing her makes it real, makes me think about what I'm risking. When I'm in the barracks with Brooklyn and Tommy, surrounded by rifles and grenades and men who smell like sweat and gun oil, I can pretend this is normal. This is just life now. But Sarah's going to smell like lavender. She's going to smile at me, and her eyes are going to light up, and I'm going to remember that there's a whole world outside the army that I might never see again. The countryside's rolling past the train window. Green fields, stone walls, little villages with thatched roofs. Looks like something from a postcard. Hard to believe there's a war on. There's a young couple sitting across from me. He's in uniform too. Royal Air Force. She's holding his hand like she's afraid he'll disappear if she lets go. They're not talking, just sitting there holding hands, watching the countryside go by. I wonder if that'll be me and Sarah in a few hours. The train's slowing down. We're coming into London. I can see the bomb damage now. Buildings with their fronts torn off, like doll houses. You can see into the rooms. Wallpaper, furniture, someone's life exposed to the world. The Germans have been bombing London for years, and we're about to go kill Germans, some of whom were probably the pilots who dropped those bombs, maybe some of whom had nothing to do with it, maybe some of whom hate this war as much as I do. War is strange that way. My stomach's in knots. I haven't eaten since breakfast, and I'm not hungry, just nervous. The train's pulling into the station. I can see the crowds on the platform, soldiers everywhere, women in Red Cross uniforms, families saying goodbye, families saying hello. I need to find Sarah in all this chaos. I'm putting this away now. Won't have time to write for the next 2 days. Too busy living. God, I hope I'm brave enough to just be honest with her, to tell her I'm scared, that I might not come back, that I love her more than anything in this world. The train stopped. Here we go. May 28th, 1944, late night, hotel near Waterloo Station. I need to write this down while it's fresh, while I can still feel it. I found Sarah on the platform. She was wearing her Red Cross uniform, looking around for me. When she saw me, her whole face changed, lit up like sunrise. We just stood there for a second, looking at each other. Then she ran to me, and I caught her and held her so tight I probably hurt her. She smelled exactly like I remembered. Lavender and something else. Something that's just her. We walked through London holding hands, found a little cafe near Covent Garden, tea and sandwiches. The sandwiches were terrible. Barely any meat. War rationing. But we didn't care. She talked about her work with the Red Cross, rolling bandages, writing letters for wounded soldiers, organizing care packages. She's good at it. Always been good at taking care of people. I tried to tell her about training, but I couldn't find the words. How do you explain cliff climbing to someone who's never done it? How do you describe the fear without making her more worried than she already is? So I just told her I'm learning a lot, getting stronger, making good friends. All true, just not the whole truth. She could tell I was holding back. She's always been able to read me. Jimmy, she said, setting down her teacup. You can tell me, whatever it is. I can't, I said. It's not that I don't want to. I literally can't. Operational security. But you're scared. It wasn't a question. I nodded. She reached across the table and took my hands, looked at my palms, at the calluses and the half-healed rope burns. Her eyes got wet. These aren't teacher's hands, she said quietly. I know. When you come back, will you still want to teach? If I come back. When? Sarah. When you come back, she said again, firmer. We're getting married. We're going to have children. You're going to teach them history and coach baseball, and we're going to have Sunday dinners with your parents and my parents, and we're going to be happy when you come back. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. We walked some more after that, found a little church, St. Martin in the Fields. It was quiet inside, cool and dark and peaceful. We sat in a pew near the back. Sarah started talking about the wedding. What kind of flowers she wants. White roses, she said, and maybe some lilacs if they're in season. She wants to get married at St. John's Lutheran, where her parents got married. Wants her father to walk her down the aisle. Wants me waiting at the altar in my uniform. I asked her what if I'm not there? What if something happens and I don't make it back? She turned to me and grabbed my face with both hands, made me look at her. James Kellerman, she said, you listen to me. You are coming back. You are going to marry me. You are going to be the father of my children. This is not negotiable. Do you understand? I told her I understood, but I was lying, because I know things she doesn't. I've seen the cliffs we're going to climb. I've seen Henderson fall. I know what's coming, even if I don't know the details. There's a very good chance I'm not coming back. We went to a hotel after, nothing fancy, just a small room with a narrow bed and thin walls. We could hear the couple next door talking, could hear the traffic outside. Sarah sat on the bed and patted the space next to her. I sat down. I need to tell you something, she said. My heart stopped. For a second I thought she was going to say she was pregnant, that I was going to be a father, that I was going to die and never meet my child. I'm not pregnant, she said, reading my face. I know that's what you were thinking. I thought I might be, a few weeks ago. But I'm not. The relief was overwhelming. Then immediately I felt guilty for being relieved. Shouldn't I want children? Isn't that the whole point? But I was glad, because at least if I die, Sarah won't be left alone with a baby. At least she'll be able to move on, find someone else, someone who comes home. I'm glad, I said. Me too, she said. Not because I don't want your children, because I want you to meet them. I want you there when they're born, when they take their first steps, when they learn to read. I want you there for all of it. Sarah, promise me, she said. Promise me you'll do everything you can to come back. I promise. Say it like you mean it. I promise I will do everything in my power to come back to you. I will fight. I will survive. I will come home. She kissed me then, long and deep and desperate, like she was trying to memorize what I taste like. We held each other for hours, just laid there in that narrow bed, wrapped around each other, not sleeping, not talking, just being together. At some point I dozed off. When I woke up, it was dark outside. Sarah was still awake, watching me. What are you thinking? I asked. I'm memorizing your face, she said. Just in case. Just in case what? Just in case I need to remember it for a long time. We made love then, desperate and fierce and tender all at once, trying to say with our bodies what we couldn't say with words. Afterwards she cried, just a little, turned her face into my chest so I wouldn't see, but I felt the tears on my skin. I love you, I said, more than anything. You know that, right? I know, she whispered. I love you too, so much it hurts. We're lying here now. It's past midnight. Sarah's asleep finally, her head on my chest, her breathing slow and steady. I'm writing this by the light from the street, can barely see the page, but I needed to capture this, needed to remember every detail. Because tomorrow I have to get on a train back to Dorchester, back to the Rangers, back to whatever mission is waiting for us. And there's a very real chance I'll never see Sarah again. My hands are shaking, the pen keeps slipping, I need to stop. Just one more thing. If I don't make it back, if someone finds this diary and gives it to Sarah, I need her to know. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. Every moment with her was a gift. If I had to choose between a long life without her and a short life with her, I'd choose her every time. I love you, Sarah Mitchell. Soon to be Sarah Kellerman, wait for me. I'm coming home. I promise. June 1st, 1944, morning, marshalling area deviant. 1. Weymouth, England. We're sealed in. That's what they call it. Sealed. No more leaves, no more phone calls, no more letters going out. We're in a fenced compound with armed guards, and we're not leaving until it's time to go. This morning they gave us the briefing. The real briefing. Everything. There were about 200 of us crammed into a tent. Colonel Rudder stood at the front with maps and aerial photographs and scale models. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. "Gentlemen," he said, "I can now tell you your objective." He pulled back a cover from the scale model. It was incredibly detailed. A cliff face made of plaster. Little toy soldiers climbing little toy ropes. Little buildings on top representing German fortifications. "This is Pointe du Hoc," he said. "It's a promontory on the Normandy coast between two invasion beaches we're calling Utah and Omaha. The cliffs are approximately 100 feet high. At the top, the Germans have 6 155mm guns in fortified positions." He let that sink in. 155mm. Those are big guns. Ship killers. "These guns can hit both Utah and Omaha beaches," Rudder continued. "Their range is approximately 14 miles. If we don't neutralize them before H hour, they will slaughter thousands of men trying to land. Our men. Your brothers." He showed us aerial reconnaissance photos. The gun positions were clearly visible. 6 concrete casemates arranged in a semicircle, each one housing a massive artillery piece. "Your mission," Rudder said, looking at each of us, "is to scale those cliffs, neutralize those guns, and hold the position until the main invasion force links up with you. You will land at 0630 hours on June 6th, H hour, the first wave." The tent was completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Tommy raised his hand. Rudder nodded at him. "Sir," Tommy said. His voice was shaking. "How are we supposed to climb a 100-foot cliff while the Germans shoot at us?" "Good question, Tommy." Rudder smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "That's where the engineers come in." He showed us the equipment. Rocket-propelled grappling hooks. Extension ladders borrowed from the London Fire Brigade. Mounted on amphibious trucks called WW2. Toggle ropes. Special climbing gear. "The rockets will fire your grappling hooks to the top of the cliff," Rudder explained. "If all goes well, you'll have ropes in place before the Germans fully realize what's happening. You'll climb fast, get to the top, secure the position. Simple. Simple. Right. If all goes well." Brooklyn raised his hand. "And if all doesn't go well, sir?" "Then you improvise. You're Rangers. That's what you do." After the briefing, they gave us the afternoon to write letters. Final letters, they called them. To be mailed if we don't make it back. I sat in my bunk for an hour staring at a blank piece of paper. What do you say? How do you sum up your whole life in a few paragraphs? I wrote to Sarah first. Told her I love her. Told her to marry someone good. Someone who will treat her right. Someone who will give her children and make her happy. Told her not to mourn too long. That I want her to be happy. Sealed it. Address it. Put it with the others. Then I wrote to my parents. Told them I was proud to serve. That I believed in what we're fighting for. That I hope Dorothy finds a good husband. That I love them. Sealed it. Addressed it. Put it with the others. Then I wrote to my students. Well, to whoever's teaching my classes now. Told them to keep studying. To learn from history so we don't repeat it. To be better than we were. Sealed it. Addressed it. Put it with the others. Then I just sat there with my head in my hands and tried not to cry. 100 feet, straight up, while men shoot at you, while grenades fall on you, while everything that can go wrong does go wrong. We've trained for this. I know we've trained for this, but training had safety harnesses. Training had instructors making sure nobody actually died. This won't have any of that. Brooklyn found me sitting there, sat down next to me on the bunk, didn't say anything for a while, just sat there. Finally, he said, "You scared?" "Terrified." "Me too," he said. "Been thinking about Rose. How she's almost 6 months old now and I've never even held her. How if I don't make it back, she'll grow up never knowing me." "You'll make it back," I said. "Not because I believed it, because that's what you say." "Maybe," Brooklyn said. "Maybe not, but I'll tell you what, if I don't make it and you do, you go find Angela. Tell her I love her. Tell her I was thinking about her and Rose when it happened. Tell her to let Rose know her daddy was a ranger." "I'm not going to need to tell her that," I said, "because you're going to tell her yourself." He smiled. Sad smile. "Sure, Jimmy, sure." They fed us a good dinner tonight. Steak and potatoes, real beef, not that mystery meat we usually get. Pie for dessert. It was delicious, and I couldn't taste any of it. Just chewed mechanically and swallowed and tried not to think about lost meals. After dinner, some of the men started a poker game. I don't play poker, but I sat and watched. Needed the distraction, needed the noise and the laughter and the illusion of normalcy. Tommy sat next to me. He had paper and pen, trying to write a letter to his mother. How do you spell honor? He asked. I spelled it for him. And privilege? I spelled that too. What are you writing? I asked. Trying to tell Mama that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve, he said. That's what they always say, right? In the movies? Yeah, I said. That's what they say. He kept writing. I watched him form the letters slowly, carefully, like a child learning to write for the first time. Jimmy, he said after a while, can I ask you something? Sure. You think we're doing the right thing, fighting this war? I thought about it, really thought about it. Yeah, I said. I do. The Germans have conquered most of Europe. They're killing innocent people. Jews, Poles, anyone they don't like. If we don't stop them, who will? But we're going to kill people too, Tommy said quietly. German boys who probably don't want to be there any more than we want to be here. I know. So what makes us right and them wrong? We're not the ones who started this, I said. We're just finishing it. Sometimes good people have to do violent things to stop evil people from doing worse. You really believe that? I have to, I said. Otherwise, what's the point? Tommy nodded slowly, went back to his letter. I'm writing this now, late at night. Most of the men are asleep. A few are still playing cards. Someone's reading the Bible by flashlight. I can't sleep. Keep thinking about those cliffs, those guns, those Germans waiting at the top. Tomorrow we load the equipment. Check our gear. Wait. The day after that is June 5th. We board the ships. And the day after that is June 6th. D-Day. I might not survive to see June 7th. My hands are shaking again. Not from the rope burns. Those are healed now. Just from fear. I don't want to die. God, I don't want to die. But if I have to, I hope it's quick. I hope it doesn't hurt. I hope Sarah never knows the details. And I hope that when it's over, when the war's done, and the historians write about it, someone remembers that we were scared, that we did this anyway, that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's being terrified and doing it anyway because someone has to. I need to sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. God help us all. June 3rd, 1944. Afternoon. Marshalling Area D1, Weymouth, England. A man died today. An American. One of ours. We were running a rehearsal. Full combat. Conditions. Live ammunition. The WW2's loaded with ladders and equipment. Everything just like it'll be on the 6th. Private Anderson was in one of the DQWs. I didn't know him well. He was with Company E, 20 years old, from Michigan, I think, or Minnesota, somewhere cold. The DQKW was navigating rough water. Waves were 4, maybe 5 feet. The vehicle was riding low, heavy with all the equipment. One of the ladders wasn't secured properly. Started shifting. Anderson went to secure it. Grabbed the ladder to tie it down. A wave hit the DQW broadside. The whole vehicle rolled. There were 6 men in that DQW. 5 of them got out. Anderson didn't. I was on the beach when they brought his body in. They laid him on the sand and the medic tried to revive him. Pumped his chest. Breathed into his mouth. Nothing worked. Anderson just laid there with his eyes open. Water draining out of his mouth. His hands were still gripping something. Took me a second to realize it was the rope he'd been holding. He'd held on so tight his fingers had locked. They had to pry his hands open. I couldn't stop staring at him. At his face. He looked surprised. Like he couldn't believe this was happening to him. Colonel Rudder called everyone together after. Told us that Anderson's death was a tragedy, but we had to learn from it. Had to be more careful. Had to secure our equipment better. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. This is just training, Rudder said. And we've already lost men. When we do this for real, we're going to lose more. Maybe a lot more. That's the price of this mission. If you're not willing to pay it, speak now. Nobody spoke. What were we going to say? That we're scared? That we want to go home? We all want to go home. Good, Rudder said, because those guns at Pointe du Hoc can kill thousands. Anderson's death here means maybe 100 men will live on that beach. Maybe more. His sacrifice matters. All our sacrifices will matter. After the speech, I went back to the barracks, sat on my bunk, tried to process what I'd seen. Anderson was alive this morning. He ate breakfast, probably wrote a letter to his parents, maybe thought about his girlfriend back home. All the normal thoughts you think on a normal day. Now he's dead, drowned in a training exercise. Never even got to the battle. And the thing is, it was random, pure chance. If he'd been standing 2 feet to the left, he would have gotten out like the others. If the wave had hit 5 seconds later, the DUKW wouldn't have rolled. If the ladder had been secured properly, he wouldn't have been in that position in the first place. Death doesn't care about your plans. Death doesn't care if you're ready. Death just happens, and you deal with it or you don't. I thought about all my students back home. Thought about how I used to teach them about wars, about brave soldiers who died for their country. I made it sound noble, heroic. There was nothing noble about Anderson lying on that beach with water pouring out of his mouth. Nothing heroic about his surprised dead eyes. He just died, randomly, pointlessly, in a training exercise. And if that can happen in training, what's going to happen when we hit real combat? Tommy came and sat with me after dinner. He'd seen Anderson too, looked pale, couldn't eat his food. Jimmy, he said quietly, I keep thinking that could have been me, could have been any of us. I know. What if that happens to me on the 6th? What if I drown before we even get to the beach? Then you'll have done your duty, I said. Not because I believed it, because that's what you're supposed to say. My duty, Tommy repeated. Yeah, I guess. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, My mama doesn't even know what we're doing. She thinks I'm just training somewhere safe. If I die, is someone going to tell her what really happened? Or are they just going to say I died in an accident? I don't know, I said honestly. I want her to know. Tommy said fiercely. I want her to know I died trying to do something important. Not just an accident, not just bad luck. If something happens to you, I said, I'll write to her myself. I'll tell her exactly what you were doing and why it mattered. I promise. Thanks, Jimmy. He paused. Will you do something else for me? What? If I die, will you keep my Bible? Give it to your kids someday? Tell them there was a boy from Tennessee who carried it through the war? My throat got tight. You're not going to die, Tommy. But if I do, if you do, I'll keep it. I'll give it to my children. I'll tell them about you. He smiled, sad smile. Thanks. They held a brief service for Anderson tonight. An army chaplain said some words, talked about sacrifice and duty and how Anderson was with God now, talked about how we should honor his memory by completing the mission. I wanted to scream. Anderson didn't want to be honored. He wanted to be alive. He wanted to go home to Michigan or Minnesota and see his parents and maybe marry a girl and have children. He didn't want to drown in a training exercise 3 days before D-Day. But I didn't scream, just stood there with the others, bowed my head when the chaplain prayed, said amen when everyone else did. They're going to bury Anderson somewhere in England. I don't know where. His parents will get a telegram. The War Department regrets to inform you. All the standard words that don't mean anything and mean everything. I keep thinking about his hands locked on that rope. How tight he was holding on. How desperately he wanted to live. We all want to live, but some of us won't. In 3 days, we board the ships. In 4 days, we hit the beach. In 4 days, some of us will be like Anderson. Surprised dead eyes, bodies laid out on the sand, parents getting telegrams, maybe me, maybe Tommy, maybe Brooklyn with his daughter he's never met. Or maybe we'll all make it. Maybe we'll climb those cliffs and take out those guns and come home heroes. Maybe I'll marry Sarah and have children and teach history, and this will all become a story I tell at dinner parties. Maybe. I need to stop writing. Need to try to sleep. Tomorrow we finalize our equipment. Make sure everything's ready. Make sure we've done everything we can to survive. But I can't stop seeing Anderson's face. Can't stop thinking about how random it was. How quick. 1 minute you're alive, the next you're not. And the world just keeps going without you. June 4th, 1944. Evening. Marshalling Area D1, Weymouth, England. Mission postponed. We were ready. Gear packed. Mentally prepared. Ships loaded. Everything set for tomorrow morning. Then word came down from high command. Weather's too rough. Seas are running 6 to 8 feet. Cloud cover too thick. The whole invasion's been pushed back 24 hours. You'd think we'd be relieved. An extra day of life. An extra day to prepare. Instead, everyone's on edge. Tense. angry even, because we'd prepared ourselves mentally. We'd said our goodbyes, we'd made our peace with dying. You can only do that once. You can't unbrace yourself and then brace yourself again. It doesn't work that way. Some of the men are handling it better than others. Brooklyn's in the corner doing his endless push-ups. I think he's done about 300 so far. He does push-ups when he's stressed. Tommy threw up after dinner. Just nerves. The waiting is killing him. He's 19 years old and he's spent the last 24 hours preparing to die, and now he has to do it all over again tomorrow. I found him afterwards, sitting outside the barracks. He was crying, trying to hide it, but crying. I sat down next to him, didn't say anything, just sat there. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know I need to be tough." "You don't need to apologize for being human," I said. The other guys are just as scared as you. They're just hiding it better." He wiped his eyes. "You think we're really going to do this? Climb those cliffs while they shoot at us?" "Yeah," I said. "We're really going to do it." "How?" "One hand at a time, one step at a time. We just keep moving forward. What if I freeze up? What if I can't do it? Then someone will help you. That's what we're here for. We help each other." He nodded, took a shaky breath. "Jimmy, I'm not ready to die." "None of us are." "I'm serious. I haven't done anything yet. Haven't had a real girlfriend. Haven't traveled anywhere. Haven't even really left Tennessee before the army. I'm not ready for this to be over." I didn't know what to say to that, because he was right. He was 19 years old. He should be in college, or working on his family's farm, or courting a girl from church. He shouldn't be sitting in England preparing to climb a cliff into machine gun fire. "Tommy," I said finally, "you're going to make it. You're going to climb that cliff and take out those guns and come home and have a whole life ahead of you. You're going to meet a nice Tennessee girl and get married and have about 6 kids and tell them stories about your old squad leader Jimmy who helped you spell words." He laughed. Weak laugh, but still a laugh. 6 kids? At least. Farm boys always have big families. "What about you? You going to make it?" "I'm going to try like hell." We sat there for a while longer, watched the sun set over the English Channel. Somewhere across that water was France. Was Pointe du Hoc. Was our future. Whatever that meant. After Tommy went back inside, I stayed outside, needed the air, needed to think. I got a letter from my mother today. It came before they sealed us in. She wrote about Dorothy working at the munitions plant. Said Dorothy's saving money for college after the war. Wants to be a nurse. Mom also said my father's working double shifts at Bethlehem Steel, making tank parts, doing his part for the war effort. He's 52 years old and working 16-hour days because his country needs steel. She ended the letter with, "We're all so proud of you, Jimmy. Come home safe." Come home safe. Like, it's that simple. Like I can just decide not to die. I started a poker game after I came back inside. Needed something to do. Needed to keep my hands busy and my mind occupied. Brooklyn joined. So did Tommy. A few other guys from the company. We played for matchsticks since real gambling's officially prohibited. Unofficially, everyone's gambling. What else is there to do? Brooklyn's got to tell. He taps his cards when he's got a good hand. I've been watching him do it for weeks and I don't think he knows. I haven't told him. Figure if he's going to die in 2 days, he might as well enjoy winning at cards. Around midnight, someone started singing. "It's a long way to Tipperary." Old song from the Great War. Everyone joined in, even the guys who can't sing. "It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know." Made me think of Sarah. Wondered what she's doing right now. Is she asleep? Is she thinking about me? Does she know the invasion's been postponed? Of course she doesn't know. She's not military. She doesn't have clearance. She probably doesn't even know we're about to invade France. After this is over, after we succeed or fail or die trying, she'll read about it in the newspapers. We'll see photos of the beaches. We'll learn about the casualties. We'll spend days or weeks not knowing if I'm alive or dead. I hate that. Hate that she'll suffer that way. Wish I could send her a message right now. Tell her I'm alive. I'm thinking of her. I love her. But I can't. So I'm writing it here instead. Sarah, if you're reading this, know that on June 4th, 1944, at approximately 1 in the morning, I was thinking about you, about our wedding, about the life we're going to have together, about white roses and lilacs in St. John's Lutheran Church, about children with your eyes and my stubbornness, about growing old together and sitting on a porch somewhere watching the sunset. I'm holding on to that vision. It's what's going to get me up that cliff. The card game's breaking up. Men heading to their bunks. Need to try to sleep, even though I know I won't. Tomorrow night we board the ships. The day after that is June 6th. The real thing. No more training, no more rehearsals. Just the mission. Colonel Rudder came through a few minutes ago, checked on everyone, made sure we were okay. When he got to me, he stopped. "How are you holding up, Sergeant?" he asked. "Fine, sir," I lied. He suddenly smiled. Knew I was lying. "It's okay to be scared, Kellerman. I'm scared too. Anyone who says they're not is either a liar or a fool." "Sir, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you really think we can do this? Climb those cliffs, take out those guns, hold the position?" He looked at me for a long moment. "Honestly, I don't know. It's the most difficult mission I've ever seen planned. The casualty estimates are 50% or higher. But I also know that if anyone can do it, it's you men, you're Rangers. You're the best we have. And if we fail, then thousands of men die on those beaches instead of us. So we can't fail. We won't fail." He patted my shoulder and moved on to check on the others. 50% casualties. That means half of us don't make it. Flip a coin, heads you live, tails you die. I don't like those odds. But we're doing it anyway, because someone has to, because those guns have to be destroyed, because the invasion has to succeed. I used to teach my students about the Spartans at Thermopylae. 300 men holding a pass against 1,000,000 Persians. They all died, but they bought time for Greece to prepare. Their sacrifice mattered. Are we Spartans? Going to certain death for the greater good? No. The Spartans knew they were going to die. We're hoping we're going to live. That's different. But maybe the courage is the same. Maybe courage is just being scared and doing it anyway. My hands are cramping from writing. Need to stop. Need to sleep. Tomorrow we board the ships. Then there's no turning back. God help us all. June 5th, 1944. 10 o'clock at night. HMS Ben, My Cree, English Channel. We're on the ships. Can't believe I'm actually writing this. We're on the ships heading toward France. The loading started this afternoon. We marched down to the docks in full gear. 68 pounds of equipment on each man. Rifle, pack, ammunition, grenades, rope climbing gear, rations, water, first aid kit, everything we'll need for the next 48 hours. The HMS Ben My Cree is a British transport ship. It's not fancy, just a floating metal box designed to carry men and equipment across the channel. We're packed in like sardines. Probably 200 Rangers on this one ship alone. The seas are still rough. 5, maybe 6-foot swells. The ship's rocking constantly. Half the men are already seasick and we haven't even left the harbor yet. Tommy's green. Literally green. He's been throwing up for the last hour. Nothing left in his stomach, but he keeps heaving anyway. I gave him my water canteen. Told him to rinse his mouth out. He thanked me and then threw up again. Brooklyn's handling it better. Says he grew up fishing in New York Harbor. Says he's got sea legs. I think he's just too stubborn to let his body betray him. Me, I'm somewhere in the middle. Stomach's queasy, but I'm holding it together, keeping my eyes on the horizon when I can see it. Trying not to think about the motion. Colonel Rudder gathered us all together about an hour ago, gave his final speech. He stood on a crate so everyone could see him. The ship was rocking, but he kept his balance like he was born on a boat. "Men," he said, "in approximately 8 hours you will be lowered into landing craft. 2 hours after that, you will hit the beach at Pointe du Hoc. This is what we've trained for. This is what we're here to do, and I know you will not fail. You are Rangers, and Rangers lead the way." Everyone cheered, had to cheer. What else do you do? Then Rudder said something else, something I can't stop thinking about. "I'm not going to lie to you," he said. "This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Some of you won't make it. Some of you will be wounded. Some of you will be killed. That's the price of war. That's the price of this mission. But I need you to know that your sacrifice matters. Every gun we destroy saves hundreds of lives on those beaches. Every minute we hold that position buys time for the main invasion. You men will decide World War II in the next 24 hours. Think about that. The entire war, the fate of the free world, it's on your shoulders. The fate of the free world, no pressure. After the speech, I found a quiet corner and pulled out this diary, pulled out the letter I wrote to Sarah, the goodbye letter. Read it one more time. It felt wrong, inadequate. Everything I wrote before combat feels naive now. I haven't seen combat yet, but I'm already different from the man who wrote that letter. How do you say goodbye to someone you love? How do you put that in words? I can't. So I'm writing something new. Writing it now. If I don't make it, if someone finds this diary and sends it to Sarah, I want her to have this instead. Sarah, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it. It means I died somewhere in France trying to complete a mission I believed in. I want you to know I wasn't afraid at the end. Well, I was afraid. But I did it anyway, and I was thinking about you, about our life together, about all the things we didn't get to do. I'm sorry I won't be there for our wedding. I'm sorry I won't get to be a father. I'm sorry I'm leaving you alone. But I need you to live. Really live. Don't spend your life mourning me. Find someone good. Someone who'll make you happy. Have children. Teach them to be kind. Tell them their almost father loved you more than anything in the world. Tell them he died trying to make the world safe for them. I love you, Sarah Mitchell. I will always love you, even in death. Especially in death. Wait for me. I'll find you again. Somehow. Somewhere. I promise. I folded the paper. Put it in this diary. Between these pages. If I die, someone will find it. They'll send it to her. She'll know. It's getting late. Around me, men are trying to sleep. It's almost impossible with the ship rocking and the engines rumbling and the knowledge of what's coming. But some guys can sleep through anything. Brooklyn's snoring. Wish I could sleep like that. Tommy's still awake, still green. He caught my eye and gave me a weak smile. I smiled back, tried to make it reassuring. Probably failed. I keep thinking about what Rudder said, about deciding the fate of the free world, about our sacrifices mattering. I want to believe him, want to believe that if I die tomorrow, it'll be for something important, something that matters, not like Anderson drowning in a training exercise, not random, not pointless. But I'm also scared that it won't matter, that I'll die climbing that cliff and the invasion will fail anyway, that the Germans will win, that everything we're doing is for nothing. No. Can't think like that. Have to believe. Have to trust that our commanders know what they're doing, that this mission is necessary, that the sacrifices will be worth it. The chaplain came through earlier, offering to hear confessions, say prayers, provide comfort. I'm Lutheran, not Catholic, but I talked to him anyway. Told him I was scared. He said that was normal. Said God gives us courage when we need it most. I asked him if God would forgive me for what I'm about to do, for killing people, for taking German lives. He said war is different, that sometimes good men have to do violent things to stop evil, that God understands, that God forgives. I want to believe him too. Someone singing again, quietly. Amazing Grace, beautiful voice. Don't know who it is in the dark. Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. I'm not sure I see anything right now except darkness and fear and the unknown. But the song helps, gives me something to hold on to. I should try to sleep. Won't get much rest in the landing craft tomorrow. Need to be sharp, need to be ready. But every time I close my eyes, I see those cliffs, see the guns, see Germans waiting at the top, see myself falling, hitting the rocks below. So, I'm staying awake, writing, keeping my mind occupied. If I die tomorrow, this will be my last entry, my last words. What should they be? I don't know. I'm just a 24-year-old history teacher from Allentown who volunteered for something he didn't fully understand. I'm not a hero. I'm not special. I'm just scared and trying to be brave. But I'm doing this. We're all doing this. Because someone has to. Because those guns have destroyed. Because freedom matters more than fear. That's what I want people to remember. Not that we were heroes, not that we were fearless, but that we were scared and we did it anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being terrified and moving forward. Tomorrow I climb. Tomorrow I find out what I'm really made of. Tomorrow the world changes. God help us all. This entry written later from memory. June 6th, 1944. 3:30 in the morning. English Channel. I'm writing this days later, trying to remember, trying to capture what it was like. Some details are sharp, others are blurred, but I need to write it down while I can still remember anything at all. At 0300 hours, they called us to the deck. Time to load into the landing craft. The LCAs. Landing craft, assault. British-made boats that hold about 30 men each. The seas were rougher than I'd expected. The swells had to be 6 feet, maybe more. Dark and choppy. You could hear the water slapping against the hull of the transport ship. They lowered the LCAs on davits, big metal cranes that swing the boats out over the water and lower them down. We had to climb down cargo nets to get into them. Full gear, 68 pounds of equipment, rifles slung over shoulders, everything swaying and rocking. Brooklyn went first from our squad, climbed down that net like a spider, dropped into the LCA without hesitation. Tommy went next, slower, more careful. I could see his hands shaking even in the dark. My turn, grabbed the net, started climbing down. The net was wet and rough, scraped my hands even through my gloves. Below me, the LCA rose and fell with the swells. Had to time it right. Jump when the boat rose up to meet you. Jump wrong and you fall between the boat and the ship. Get crushed. I jumped, landed hard, felt it in my knees. But I was in. The LCA filled up. 30 men packed shoulder to shoulder. Nowhere to sit, nowhere to move. Just standing there, pressed together, holding on to whatever you could grab. The boat pulled away from the transport ship, started making its way toward the rendezvous point. The coxswain was British, young kid, maybe 20. He looked as scared as we felt. The boat pitched and rolled, climbed up one wave, crashed down the other side, water splashing over the sides. We were soaked within minutes. Tommy threw up. Couldn't help it, just leaned over and vomited. It splashed on someone's boots. Nobody complained. Half the boat was throwing up. I focused on breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Don't think about the motion. Don't think about drowning. Don't think about what's coming. Thought about Sarah instead. About her smile, her laugh, the way she looked at me in that hotel room. Tried to hold on to that image. Around me, men were praying, talking to themselves. Some were silent. Everyone dealt with it differently. Brooklyn was chewing gum. Loud, smacking chewing. Drove me crazy, but I was glad for it. Meant he was okay. Meant he was still Brooklyn. The sky started getting lighter. Dawn was coming. June 6, 1944. D-Day. I could see other boats now. Landing craft everywhere. Hundreds of them. All heading toward France, toward the beaches, toward destiny. Behind us, the big ships were firing. Naval guns lighting up the sky. Huge flashes of orange and red. The sound came seconds later. Boom, boom, boom. The whole world shaking with each shot. They were softening up the defenses, hitting the German positions with everything they had. Thousands of shells, tons of explosives. I prayed those shells were hitting the right targets. Prayed they were destroying those guns at Pointe du Hoc. Prayed we'd get to the top and find nothing but rubble. But I knew better. Knew the Germans would survive. Knew they'd be waiting for us. The boat kept pitching, kept rolling. My stomach was in knots, not from seasickness, from fear. This was it. This was really happening. In a few hours I'd either be alive or dead. No in between. Someone started the Lord's Prayer. Everyone joined in. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. I said it with them, meant it, prayed harder than I'd ever prayed in my life. Prayed we'd make it. Prayed the mission would succeed. Prayed I'd see Sarah again. The light kept growing. I could see the coast now. Dark cliffs rising out of the water. That had to be Pointe du Hoc. My heart was pounding, so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. My hands were cold. My mouth was dry. Every nerve in my body was screaming at me to turn around, to go back, to run. But there was nowhere to run. Just forward. Always forward. Rangers lead the way. The naval bombardment stopped. Sudden silence except for the engine of our boat and the sound of water against the hull. The silence was worse than the explosions. Meant we were getting close. Meant it was almost time. I checked my rifle. M1 Garand, 8 rounds in the clip. Loaded and ready. Checked my grenades. 2 fragmentation, 1 smoke. Checked my rope gear. Everything I'd need to climb that cliff, if I lived long enough to climb it. Tommy was next to me. He looked at me. His eyes were huge, terrified. "Jimmy," he whispered, "I can't do this." "Yes, you can," I said. "I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. We're all going to die someday. Not today. Today we climb. Today we fight. Today we win." He nodded. Didn't believe me. But he nodded. I didn't believe me either. But I said it anyway, because that's what you do. The coxswain was looking at his watch, looking at the coast, talking into a radio. I couldn't hear what he was saying over the engine noise. Then he turned to us, shouted over the wind and waves, 10 minutes, 10 minutes to the beach." 10 minutes, 600 seconds. That's all the normal life I had left. After that, everything would change. I wanted to write something, wanted to capture this moment, but my hands were too wet and I couldn't get to this diary anyway, packed deep in my gear. So I just tried to remember, tried to burn every detail into my brain. The smell of salt water and vomit and gun oil, the sound of the engine and the waves and 30 men breathing hard, the feel of the boat pitching beneath my feet, the sight of those cliffs getting closer. This is what the moments before battle feel like. This is what the soldiers in my history books felt before Lexington, before Gettysburg, before the Somme. This is real. This is history. And I'm living it. Or I'm about to die in it. The cliffs were getting bigger, taller. I could see the top now, could see the fortifications, could see smoke from the naval bombardment, could see the beach at the base, rocky, covered in stones, nowhere to hide. 5 minutes, the coxswain shouted. 5 minutes, 300 seconds. I thought about Sarah, hoped she was safe in London, hoped she didn't know what was happening, hoped she wouldn't suffer too much if I died. I thought about my parents, my sister Dorothy, my students, all the people I might never see again. I thought about Anderson drowning in that training exercise, about how quick death can be. 1 second you're alive, the next you're not. 2 minutes. I could hear something new now. Over the engine and the waves, a rattling, popping sound, machine gun fire. The Germans were shooting at us. 1 minute, get ready. This was it. This was really it. No more training, no more rehearsals, no more pretending. In 60 seconds, I'd find out if I was brave or if I was a coward, if I'd survive or die, if all the training had prepared me for this, or if I was about to fail everyone who trusted me. 30 seconds. My vision narrowed. All I could see was the ramp in front of me, the ramp that was about to drop, the ramp I'd have to run down into hell. 10 seconds. God help me. God help us all. Please let me be brave. Please let me live. Please let this matter. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The ramp dropped. This entry written later from memory. June 6, 1944, 7:10 in the morning, Pointe du Hoc Beach. I'm writing this days later and I still can't believe I survived what came next. The ramp dropped. Machine gun fire immediately. Crack, 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 crack. So loud it didn't even sound like individual shots. Just one continuous ripping sound. The man in front of me jerked, took a round in the throat. Blood exploded out. He made a gurgling sound and fell. That was Private Anderson. Different Anderson than the one who drowned. Same last name. He died before he even left the boat. Just stepped onto the ramp and died. Someone behind me shoved. Had to keep moving. Had to get off the boat. The boat was a target. Had to get to the beach. I jumped over Anderson's body. Hit the water. It was deeper than I expected. Came up to my chest. Cold. Shockingly cold. The weight of my equipment dragged me down. I went under. Swallowed salt water. Panicked. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't see. Just cold and dark and drowning. My feet hit bottom. I pushed off. Surfaced. Gasped for air. Water streaming down my face. Machine gun fire all around me. Bullets hitting the water. Plop, plop, plop. Like raindrops. But each raindrop could kill me. I started wading toward the beach. Slow. Too slow. The water fought me with every step. My equipment felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Someone next to me went down. Didn't see who, just heard them scream and disappear beneath the water. Didn't stop, couldn't stop, had to keep moving. Explosions, mortars or grenades or something, water fountaining up in huge spouts. The concussion hitting like a fist, ears ringing. I couldn't see where I was going, just forward, always forward, toward the beach, toward that cliff. My rifle. Where was my rifle? I'd had it slung over my shoulder. It was gone. Must have lost it in the water. No time to think about it. Just keep moving. I stumbled out of the water onto the beach. Rocks, large stones, slippery. I fell, scraped my hands, got up, fell again, got up again, machine gun fire coming from above. From the top of the cliff, I could see the muzzle flashes, little sparks of light that meant death. Men running, men falling, men screaming. The beach was chaos, pure chaos. I saw a WW2 trying to come ashore. It had one of the London Fire Brigade ladders mounted on it. The ladder was supposed to extend up to the cliff top, give us a way to climb. The WW got hit, explosion, fire, the ladder collapsed. The vehicle was sinking, so much for that plan. The rocket grappling hooks, where were they? Men were setting them up. Little tubes aimed at the cliff top. Someone pulled a trigger. Whoosh! The grappling hook went flying up, trailing a rope behind it. It reached the top, caught on something. The rope hung down. A way up. But the rope was wet, soaking wet from the sea spray. Would it hold? Only one way to find out. Men started climbing. I ran toward the cliff base, away from the machine gun fire. Or into it. Hard to tell. Just had to get off that beach. The beach was death. Grenades falling from above. Germans throwing them down. They'd explode on the rocks. Shrapnel everywhere. One landed near me. I dove. Hit the ground. Covered my head. The explosion lifted me up, slammed me back down. Couldn't hear anything but ringing. Stumbled to my feet, checked myself, still in one piece. How was I still in one piece? Brooklyn was at the cliff base. He saw me, yelled something. Couldn't hear him. Pointed at a rope, pointed up. Climb. Had to climb. I grabbed the rope, started climbing, hand over hand. My palms were raw and bleeding, but I didn't feel it. Pure adrenaline. The rope was wet, slippery. My hands kept slipping. I squeezed harder, climbed faster. Below me, some men were still coming ashore, still dying. The beach was covered with bodies, some moving, some not. The water was red. Don't look down, never look down, just climb. The cliff face was scarred from the naval bombardment, huge chunks blown out, craters everywhere, made it easier to climb in some ways, more handholds, but also made it unstable. Rocks were loose. Something hit the cliff next to my head. Bullet. They were shooting at me, at all of us climbing. Like fish in a barrel. Climb faster. Had to climb faster. My arms were burning. My hands were screaming. Every muscle in my body was on fire. But I kept climbing, one hand over the other. Don't stop. Don't look up. Don't look down. Just the next handhold. That's all that matters. Someone above me screamed. A body fell past me. Hit the rocks below. Didn't see who it was. Didn't want to know. Keep climbing. A grenade exploded nearby, on the cliff face. Rocks flew. Something hit my helmet. Rang like a bell. Vision went blurry. Shook my head. Kept climbing. How far was the top? 50 feet? 30? 20? Couldn't tell. Time had no meaning. Distance had no meaning. Just climb. Just survive the next second. Then the next. Then the next. My hand reached up and grabbed not rock, but dirt. Grass. The top. I'd reached the top. I pulled myself over the edge, rolled onto flat ground, laid there for a second, breathing, alive. I was alive, bullets snapping overhead, still under fire. Couldn't rest, not yet. I looked around. Smoke everywhere, craters everywhere. The naval bombardment had turned this place into the surface of the moon, nothing but torn earth and destroyed bunkers and smoke. And Germans, I could see them, running, some surrendering, some fighting, shooting from positions that had survived the bombardment. I needed a weapon, had lost my rifle in the water, looked around, found one lying next to a dead ranger, grabbed it, checked it, loaded, good. More rangers were coming over the cliff edge. Brooklyn. Tommy. Thank God, Tommy made it. Others whose names I didn't know, all of us soaking wet, bleeding, exhausted, but alive. Colonel Rudder was there. How the hell had he made it? He must have been on one of the first boats. He was already organizing men. Pointing, giving orders, even with bullets flying. The guns, he was shouting. Find the guns. We spread out, moving through the craters, through the smoke, looking for the 6 155mm guns that were supposed to be here. I reached the first gun position, a massive concrete casemate, steel door hanging off its hinges. I went inside. Empty. No gun. Just an empty concrete room, smelled like explosive and dust. What the hell? I ran to the next position. Empty. The next. Empty. All 6 positions, all empty. The guns weren't here. They'd moved them. Or they were never here. Or the intelligence was wrong. We'd climbed that cliff, lost all those men, for empty bunkers. I felt rage building, white-hot rage. We'd been lied to. The whole mission was based on faulty intelligence. But then Colonel Rudder was there again. They moved them, he shouted. They have to be inland. Fan out. Find them. So we did. Because what else were we going to do? We were here. We'd made it. Might as well finish the job. I joined a patrol headed inland. Sergeant Lomal was leading. Good man. Tough. About 15 of us total. We moved through the Norman hedgerows, thick bushes and earthen walls that divided up the fields. Perfect cover. For us and for the Germans. Sniper fire. Someone was shooting at us. We hit the ground. There, Brooklyn pointed. Movement in a hedgerow. We returned fire. The movement stopped. Kept moving. Every hedgerow could have an ambush. Every field could have mines. This was not the quick assault we'd trained for. This was slow, dangerous work. Private Davis was walking next to me. Young kid, 20 years old, from California. He was telling me about how he wanted to be a movie star after the war, wanted to go to Hollywood. Then his head exploded. Not like in the movies. Really exploded. Just came apart. He was talking, and then he was falling, and there was nothing above his neck but red. I dove behind a hedgerow, covered in his blood, his brain matter. Couldn't process it. Couldn't think. He'd been talking. Now he was dead. No time. Keep moving. Had to keep moving. We found them half an hour later, the guns, all 6 of them, hidden in an orchard about a mile inland from the cliff, camouflaged with netting, unguarded. The Germans must have planned to move them back to the casemates once the invasion was over. Too late now. We had thermite grenades, special incendiary grenades that burn at 4,000 degrees, hot enough to melt steel, hot enough to destroy gun barrels. I placed my grenades on 2 of the guns. Others did the same. We pulled the pins, ran. The thermite ignited. White-hot flame. The guns started melting, million-dollar artillery pieces turning into molten metal. It was beautiful in a terrible way. Mission accomplished. We'd found the guns, destroyed them. They'd never fire on those beaches now. But the cost. Oh God, the cost. We made our way back to the main perimeter at the cliff top. German counterattacks were already starting. They wanted this position back. We'd have to hold it. That's when I saw them setting up a field hospital in one of the bomb craters. Wounded men everywhere. Medics working frantically. Not enough supplies, not enough morphine. Men screaming. I found Brooklyn. He was hit. Shrapnel in his left leg, bleeding badly. I helped him to the crater, to the medic. The medic looked at Brooklyn's leg, shook his head. I need to take it off. The shrapnel? Brooklyn asked. The leg. If I don't amputate, you'll die from infection or blood loss. Brooklyn's face went white. No, you can't. I need to get home. I need to hold my daughter. I can't hold her with one leg. You can't hold her if you're dead, the medic said. Not mean, just factual. I held Brooklyn's hand while the medic worked. They'd run out of morphine. All they had left was whiskey. Brooklyn drank the whole flask. It wasn't enough. I heard his screams. We'll hear them forever. The medic used a pocket knife and a bone saw. Field amputation. No anesthesia. No sterile equipment. Just survival medicine. I held Brooklyn's hand through all of it. Watched his leg come off. Watched the medic tie off the arteries, wrap the stump. Pack it with sulfur powder to prevent infection. Brooklyn passed out from the pain. Might be the only mercy God granted him that day. They took him to the beach to wait for evacuation. I never saw him again. Tommy was alive. I found him in the perimeter, wounded in the shoulder, but alive. He was pale, in shock, but alive. We did it, he kept saying. We made it, Jimmy. We're alive. Yeah, I said, we made it. But so many hadn't. The beach was covered with bodies. Rangers who'd climbed with us, who'd trained with us, who'd laughed and played cards and sung songs with us. Dead now. All dead. The sun was high in the sky. Must have been afternoon. Hard to tell. Time had stopped meaning anything. Just an endless present of violence and death. German counterattack. They came at us from inland. Maybe 30 or 40 soldiers. We were down to about 90 effective fighters. But we had the high ground, had cover, had training. The fight was brutal, close range, rifles and grenades and sometimes just fists and entrenching tools. They'd push, we'd push back, they'd fall back, we'd catch our breath, then they'd come again. I killed a man that day. Maybe more than one. But one I'll never forget. He came at me from behind a hedgerow, young, maybe 18. He had a rifle with a bayonet. He charged. I didn't have time to aim, didn't have time to shoot, just grabbed my entrenching tool, that little folding shovel we used to dig foxholes. I swung it, caught him in the head, felt the impact up my arm, felt his skull crack. He went down, twitched, blood everywhere. I hit him again, and again, and again, until he stopped moving. Then I threw up, right there on the battlefield, just doubled over and vomited, because I'd just killed a man, with a shovel. Beat his head in like a caveman, not clean, not heroic, just brutal and primitive and horrifying. I looked at his body. He was wearing a wedding ring, gold band. I could see an inscription but couldn't read the German script. This man had a wife, maybe children, parents, a life, and I'd ended it. All my education, all my civilization, all my belief in the power of knowledge and culture. None of it mattered. In the end, I was just an animal fighting for survival. And I'd won by being more vicious than the other animal. I took his rifle, a Mauser, because I was out of ammunition for the M1. Added his magazine pouches to my belt, because I needed ammunition to keep fighting. Looted his corpse, like a medieval warrior stripping the dead. This is war. This is what war really is, and no history book can capture it. No words can make it clean. We held the position. The Germans fell back. We'd won, for now. But the day wasn't over, not even close. This was just the beginning. Night was coming, and with it, more attacks, more death, more horror. I'm so tired. Everything hurts. My hands are destroyed. My arms feel like dead weight. My heart is racing, can't slow it down. I keep seeing Davis's head exploding. Keep feeling Brooklyn's hand squeezing mine while they cut off his leg. Keep seeing that German soldier's face as I killed him. I want to go home. Want this to be over. Want to wake up in my bed in Allentown and have this all be a nightmare. But it's not a nightmare. It's real. This is my life now. This is who I am now. A killer, a survivor, a broken thing pretending to be a man. God forgive me for what I've done. What I'll have to keep doing. We're digging in for the night. The relief force should come tomorrow. Should. If they can get through. If the invasion succeeded. If we're not surrounded and cut off and about to die. All I can do is hold this position. Keep my head down. Try to survive until morning. One more night. Just survive one more night. Then maybe I can process what happened. Maybe I can grieve. Maybe I can begin to understand what I've become. But not tonight. Tonight is just survival. Rangers lead the way, even when the way leads through hell. This entry written later from memory, June 6, 1944, 11 o'clock at night, Pointe du Hoc. Night has fallen. It's dark. So dark I can barely see my hand in front of my face. We're dug into shell craters. Bomb craters. Whatever holes we can find. No shovels. No time to dig properly. Just huddle in the holes and pray. I'm in a crater with Tommy and two other guys I don't know well. Private Jensen and Corporal Martinez. All of us soaking wet, covered in mud and blood, some of it ours, most of it not. The Germans are still out there. We can hear them. Movement in the darkness. Talking in low voices. They know where we are. We know where they are. Both sides waiting for the other to make a move. Someone fired a flare. The whole battlefield lit up, white light casting harsh shadows. I could see the bodies, dozens of them. American, German, all dead. The flare fell. Darkness again. But the images burned into my brain. That field of death. Tommy's shaking. Not from cold, from fear, from shock. We're all in shock. Moving on instinct and adrenaline and the fading hope that we might actually survive this. Jimmy, Tommy whispered, I killed a man today. I know, I said. Me too. I shot him, watched him fall, watched him try to crawl away, watched him die. Yeah. Does it get easier? I don't know. I hope not. What? If it gets easier to kill, that means we've lost something important, something human. I hope it never gets easier. Tommy was quiet for a while. Then he said, I want to go home. Me too. Not home to America, home to Tennessee, to my mama's house. Want to sit on the porch and drink sweet tea and watch the sunset and never think about any of this again. You will, I said. When this is over, you'll go home. You'll sit on that porch. You'll drink that tea. You think? I know it. I was lying. I had no idea if Tommy would survive. Had no idea if any of us would. But that's what you say. That's how you keep people going. Sporadic gunfire. A German machine gun opened up. Tracers cutting through the darkness. Green streaks. The Germans use green tracers. We use red. Makes it easy to tell who's shooting. We pressed ourselves flat in the crater. Bullets snapping overhead. One hit the lip of the crater, showered us with dirt. The firing stopped. Silence again. Just the sound of men breathing, of wounded men moaning, of the wind blowing across the devastated landscape. I shared a cigarette with Tommy. Neither of us smokes normally. But someone gave me a lucky strike, and we lit it. Passed it back and forth. Something to do, something to focus on, besides the fear. The tobacco tasted terrible, made me dizzy. But it was a connection to normalcy, to the world before this. Soldiers smoke. It's what you do. A voice in the darkness. Medic, I need a medic. We all froze. Was it one of ours, or a German trying to draw us out? The voice came again. Please, I'm hurt bad. I need help. American accent. Southern, probably Georgia or Alabama. I started to move. Tommy grabbed my arm. Don't. Could be a trap. Could be a ranger bleeding out. Could be both. He was right. The Germans had used that trick before. Wound a man. Let him call for help. When someone comes to help, shoot them both. But what if it wasn't a trick? What if it was really a wounded ranger and we let him die because we were too scared to help? I made my decision. Started climbing out of the crater. Jimmy, don't, Tommy said. Stay here. Cover me. If I get hit, don't follow. I crawled, slowly, carefully, using whatever cover I could find. Every shadow could hide a German. Every sound could be the last thing I heard. Where are you? I called softly. Over here, by the hedgerow. I crawled toward the voice. Found him. A ranger. Young kid. I didn't recognize him in the darkness. He'd been hit in the stomach. Bad wound. Really bad. Hey, I said. Hey, I've got you. You're going to be okay. He grabbed my arm. It hurts. Oh, God, it hurts so much. I checked his wound. Couldn't see much in the darkness, but I could feel it. His intestines were spilling out. He was dying. Nothing I could do. Hold on, I said. The medics are coming. Am I going to die? I wanted to lie. Wanted to tell him he'd be fine. But his eyes found mine even in the darkness, and I couldn't lie. Yeah, I said quietly. Yeah, you're going to die. He started crying. I don't want to. I'm not ready. I'm only 19. I haven't done anything yet. I know. I'm sorry. Tell my mom. Tell her I was brave. Tell her I died for something that mattered. I will. I promise. What's your name? Jimmy. Jimmy Kellerman. I'm Billy. Billy Patterson from Georgia. Hi, Billy. Hi, Jimmy. He tried to smile. Funny way to meet. Yeah. He was quiet for a minute. His breathing was getting shallow, fast. He didn't have long. Jimmy? Yeah? Will you stay with me? I don't want to die alone. I held his hand. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. We sat there in the dark, me holding the hand of a dying 19-year-old boy from Georgia, him bleeding out in a French field, both of us so far from home. He talked about his mother, about his kid sister, about a girl named Mary he'd been sweet on but never had the courage to ask out, about all the things he'd never get to do. Then his talking slowed, his breathing slowed, his grip on my hand weakened. Jimmy? His voice was barely a whisper. I'm here. It's getting dark. Close your eyes, rest. I'm scared. I know, it's okay to be scared. Will you pray with me? So I did, right there in the mud and blood and darkness. I prayed the Lord's Prayer with a dying boy I'd just met. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen, Billy whispered. Then he was gone. Just like that. 1 second he was alive. The next he was empty. His hand went limp in mine. I closed his eyes, took his dog tags, put them in my pocket. Someone needed to tell his mother. Someone needed to record that Billy Patterson from Georgia died here. That he wasn't alone. That someone held his hand at the end. I crawled back to the crater. Tommy helped me down. Didn't ask what happened. Could probably guess from my face. I'm writing this now by the light of a hooded flashlight, trying to capture it while it's fresh. Billy Patterson, age 19, Georgia, died June 6th, 1944, approximately 2300 hours, gunshot wound to abdomen, bled out in approximately 15 minutes, not alone. His dog tags are in my pocket. I'll make sure they get processed. Make sure his mother gets notified. Make sure someone writes to Mary and tells her Billy thought about her at the end. It's the least I can do. The naval guns are still firing periodically. USS Texas and some British ships, hitting German positions inland, providing support. The sound is almost comforting now. Means we're not alone. Means the Navy knows we're here. But no relief force yet. We're still isolated, still cut off, still on our own. Colonel Rudder came by earlier, checking on everyone, making sure we were holding together. He looked exhausted, covered in dirt and blood, like the rest of us, but still standing, still leading. How are you doing, Sergeant? He asked me. Still alive, sir. That's what matters. Keep your men together. Keep them fighting. Relief should come tomorrow. And if it doesn't, then we hold until it does. That's the mission. He moved on to the next crater, the next group of scared, exhausted men, giving them the same speech, the same hope. I don't know if I believe him, don't know if relief is really coming, don't know if the invasion succeeded or failed, don't know if we're heroes or if we're about to be killed or captured. All I know is I'm still alive, still have ammunition, still have men depending on me, so I'll keep fighting, keep surviving, keep trying to get us through this. Tommy fell asleep. How he can sleep I don't know, but his head's on his pack and he's snoring softly. Youth, exhaustion, shock. All of it combining to shut his body down. Jensen and Martinez are on watch. I should be sleeping too. Need the rest. Tomorrow will be another long day. But I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see Billy's face. See Davis's head exploding. See that German soldier I killed. See Brooklyn screaming while they cut off his leg. War is supposed to be about grand strategies and noble causes and fighting for freedom. That's what I taught my students. That's what the history books say. But the reality is, 19-year-old boys dying in mud, is killing men with shovels, is holding strangers' hands while they bleed out, is being so scared you can't think straight, but still having to function because people are depending on you. This is the truth of war. This is what the history books can't capture. This is what I'll carry for the rest of my life, however long or short that might be. I need to stop writing, need to try to rest. Dawn will come, and with it more fighting, more death, more horror, but I wanted to record this. Billy Patterson deserves to be remembered. Deserves more than just a name on a casualty list. He was 19. From Georgia, loved his mother and sister, had a crush on a girl named Mary, died holding a stranger's hand in a field in France. He mattered. His life mattered. His death matters. I won't let him be forgotten. Rest in peace, Billy. You were brave. You did your duty, and you weren't alone. That's all any of us can ask for. This entry written later from memory, June 7th, 1944, dawn, Pointe du Hoc. The Germans came at dawn. Must have been 50 of them, maybe more. A real counterattack, not probing, not skirmishing. A serious attempt to push us off this cliff. We heard them coming, voices in the grey light, equipment rattling, boots on stone. They weren't being subtle, didn't need to be. They had the numbers. Here they come, someone shouted. We opened fire. Every rifle, every machine gun we'd managed to keep working, threw up a wall of lead. They came anyway, because they had to, because we'd destroyed their guns and they needed this position back. Because that's war. You keep coming even when it means dying. I was firing my Mauser, that German rifle I'd taken yesterday. 8 rounds, squeeze, fire, work the bolt, fire again. The rifle kicked hard. My shoulder was bruised and tender, but I kept firing. A German went down. Don't know if I hit him. Don't know if it mattered. Someone hit him. He was down. That's all that counted. They got close. Too close. Within grenade range. Started throwing potato mashers. Those German stick grenades. They arced through the air, landed in craters. I grabbed one that landed near me, threw it back. It exploded in midair, showered the Germans with shrapnel, heard screams. Hand-to-hand fighting in some craters. Men grappling, knives, rifle butts, fists, primal, savage. The way fighting was before there were rules. I saw Tommy tackle a German soldier. They rolled in the mud, fighting over a rifle. The German was bigger, stronger, getting the upper hand. I ran over, hit the German with my entrenching tool. Same tool I'd killed that other man with yesterday. It worked again. The German went limp. Tommy scrambled up. Eyes wild. Thanks. Don't mention it. The attack broke. The Germans fell back, left their dead and wounded. We'd held. Again. But we couldn't keep this up. We were running out of ammunition, running out of men, running out of everything. I counted afterwards. We were down to 33 effective fighters. From 70 who'd landed yesterday morning, more than half gone, dead, wounded, or missing. 33 men, holding a position designed for 200, against an unknown number of Germans who kept coming. The relief force. Where was the relief force? Colonel Rudder gathered us. What was left of us? 33 exhausted, filthy, shell-shocked men. I won't lie to you, he said. We're in a bad spot. We're low on ammunition, low on water, low on men, but we're still here, and we're going to stay here until relief arrives. That's the mission. That's what we do. We're Rangers, and Rangers don't quit. Someone asked when relief was coming. Soon, Rudder said. Has to be soon. The invasion can't have failed. Too big, too well planned. The 5th Rangers are out there. The 116th Infantry. They're fighting their way to us. We just have to hold a little longer. A little longer. How much is a little? After the speech, I took inventory of my ammunition. 3 rounds left for the Mauser. That's it. 3 bullets. Then I'd be down to my knife and my entrenching tool. I found a dead German, checked his pouches, found 2 more magazines, 15 rounds total. Maybe. If the ammunition was good, if the rifle didn't jam, I was looting corpses, stealing from the dead to survive. This is what I'd become. Tommy found me. He had a cut on his forehead, blood running down his face. He didn't seem to notice. Jimmy, I need to tell you something, he said. What? If I don't make it, there's a letter in my pack. To my mama. Make sure she gets it, okay? You'll give it to her yourself. Jimmy, please, just promise me. I promise. And tell her I wasn't scared, even if I was. Tell her I died brave. Tommy, please. Okay, I'll tell her, but you're not going to die. Neither of us are. We're getting out of this. He nodded, didn't believe me. I didn't believe me either, but we had to try. The day dragged on. More sporadic fighting, snipers, small probing attacks, the Germans testing our defenses, seeing where we were weak. Everywhere. We were weak everywhere. But they didn't know that, had to keep up the illusion, had to make them think we were stronger than we were. Someone found water, a canteen on a dead ranger. We passed it around, one sip each, barely enough to wet your mouth. But it was something. I was so thirsty. My tongue felt like leather. My throat was raw. When I swallowed it hurt. The day got hot, sun beating down, no shade, no cover, just exposed on this lunar landscape of craters and rubble. Men were getting heat exhaustion on top of everything else. Dehydration. Some were hallucinating, seeing things that weren't there, talking to people who weren't there. The medic was overwhelmed. Too many wounded, not enough supplies. He was doing triage, deciding who might live and who was too far gone. Playing God because someone had to. I helped him for a while, held down a man while the medic pulled shrapnel out of his leg. The man screamed, bit down on a leather belt to keep from screaming louder. The medic worked fast. No anesthetic, no painkillers, just raw surgery. The man passed out, maybe better that way. Will he make it? I asked. The medic shrugged. Maybe. If the wound doesn't get infected, if he doesn't lose too much blood, if we get out of here soon. Too many ifs. What are his chances? 50-50? That's everyone's chances right now. 50-50, coin flip, heads you live, tails you die. I went back to my position, checked my rifle again, checked my ammunition again, same as before. Nothing had changed, but checking gave me something to do. Afternoon, the heat was unbearable. I was dizzy, weak, needed water, needed food, needed sleep, wasn't going to get any of it. Then I heard it, a sound in the distance. Engines. Lots of engines. Vehicles approaching. Everyone heard it. We grabbed our weapons. Got ready. If it was Germans, this was it. We couldn't fight off a full mechanized assault, not with 33 men and almost no ammunition. But if it was Americans, if it was relief. Hold your fire, Colonel Rudder yelled. Let's see who it is. The vehicles came into view. American trucks, jeeps, men in American uniforms, 5th Ranger Battalion, 116th Infantry, other units. Relief. Finally. We cheered. 33 voices raised in triumph and relief and disbelief. We'd made it. We'd actually made it. The relief force poured in, brought ammunition, water, food, medical supplies, fresh troops. I grabbed a canteen from one of them. Drank. The water was the best thing I'd ever tasted. Cool and clean and wonderful. I drank until my stomach hurt. Tommy was crying, just sitting on the ground crying. I sat down next to him. We made it, he said. Jimmy, we made it. Yeah, kid, we did. I didn't think we would. Me neither. We sat there, two filthy, exhausted, traumatized men, surrounded by fresh-faced soldiers who hadn't been through what we'd been through, who didn't understand what the last 30 hours had been like. One of the new guys asked me what happened here, what it was like. I looked at him, looked at his clean uniform and his full ammunition pouches and his innocent eyes, looked at Tommy covered in blood and dirt and tears, looked at the craters full of bodies. Hell, I said. It was hell. He didn't ask any more questions. They evacuated the wounded first, loaded them into trucks and jeeps, sent them back to the beach, to the field hospitals, to ships if they were lucky, home if they were very lucky. Brooklyn was among them. I found him before they took him. He was unconscious. His stump was wrapped in fresh bandages. He looked pale, gray, but alive. I put a note in his pocket with his daughter's picture, told Angela he'd been brave, that he'd talked about her and Rose until the end, that he loved them, that he was coming home. Then they took him away and I never saw him again. Tommy was evacuated too. His shoulder wound was infected, needed real medical attention. He didn't want to go, wanted to stay with the unit. But the medic ordered him out. Jimmy, Tommy said as they loaded him up, thank you for everything, for helping me spell, for keeping me alive, for being my friend. You're going to be fine, Tommy. You're going home, going to see your mama, going to sit on that porch and drink sweet tea, remember? I remember. He smiled, weak smile. See you back home. Yeah, after the war. I'll come visit Tennessee. You can introduce me to your mama. I'd like that. Then he was gone too, and I was alone. Well, not alone. Still had 20 some other Rangers, still had Colonel Rudder, still had the mission. The position was secure, but we had to hold it, make sure the Germans didn't take it back. But the crisis was over. We'd survived. Against all odds, against all reasonable expectations. We'd climbed that cliff, destroyed those guns, held the position, done the impossible. And it had cost us everything. I sat in a crater as the sun set. June 7th, 1944, day 2 of the invasion. Apparently the invasion was succeeding. The beaches were secured. Thousands of troops were pouring into France. The breakout was beginning. We'd done our part. Those guns would never fire on those beaches. The men landing at Utah and Omaha would live because of what we'd done here. It had mattered. Our sacrifice had mattered. But it didn't feel like victory. It just felt like survival. Like I'd somehow cheated death, and now I had to live with what I'd seen, what I'd done. I killed men, beat one to death with a shovel, shot others, don't even know how many. They're dead because of me. Billy Patterson died in my arms. Davis had his head blown off next to me. Brooklyn lost his leg while I held his hand. Anderson drowned in training. That other Anderson was shot before he left the boat. So many others whose names I didn't know or can't remember. All dead, all gone. All because of this mission, this position, this pile of rock and dirt that seemed so important 36 hours ago. Was it worth it? I don't know. History will decide that. The historians will look at casualty figures and strategic objectives and conclude whether Pointe du Hoc mattered. But right now, sitting in this crater, I don't care about history. I just care that I'm alive and so many others aren't. I'm a survivor. I've survived hell, survived things I didn't think I could survive. And now I have to figure out how to live with that, how to go home and pretend to be normal, how to marry Sarah and have children and teach history when I know what history really costs, how to look at my students and talk about war and heroism when I know the truth is mud and blood and 19-year-old boys dying in your arms. I don't have answers, don't know if I ever will. All I know is I'm still here, still breathing, still alive, for better or worse. June 10th, 1944. Evening. Reserve position near Vieilleville-sur-Mer. We have been pulled back from the front line, sent to a reserve area to rest and refit. It feels like a dream. Like I've somehow crossed from one world to another. The front is only a few miles away. I can still hear the artillery, still hear the guns. But here there are trees, grass, a barn that's mostly intact. It's almost peaceful. Almost. They fed us hot food tonight. Real food. Steak and potatoes and bread and coffee. I sat there with my plate and couldn't eat. My body wanted to. My stomach was growling, but I couldn't make myself put the fork to my mouth. Everything tasted like ash, like nothing, like the world had lost all flavor. I forced myself to eat anyway, because I needed the calories, needed the strength, but I didn't taste any of it. They gave us new uniforms, clean ones, took our old uniforms away to be burned. Too much blood, too much dirt, too much death soaked into the fabric. Easier to burn them than clean them. I put on the new uniform. It felt wrong. Too clean. Too new. Like I was pretending to be someone I wasn't anymore. I tried to sleep in the barn. Couldn't do it. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. The dead. All the dead. Their faces. Their eyes. Their last moments. Davis. Anderson. Billy Patterson, that German soldier, all of them, staring at me, asking me why I lived, and they didn't. I don't have an answer. It was random, luck, fate, chance. Call it what you want. I happened to be standing 2 feet to the left instead of right. Happened to duck at the right moment. Happened to survive. Why? I don't know. There's no reason, no logic, just blind, stupid luck. I got up. Couldn't lie there anymore. Went outside, walked around the area. Other men from the company were out there too. Couldn't sleep either. We nodded to each other. Didn't talk. What was there to say? One guy was crying. Just standing there in the moonlight, crying quietly. I recognized him. Martinez. He'd been in the crater with me that first night. I went over. put a hand on his shoulder. He looked at me. I can't stop, he said. I can't stop seeing it. Every time I close my eyes. I know. Does it get better? I don't know, maybe. Probably not. What are we supposed to do? Survive. Keep going. That's all we can do. He nodded, wiped his eyes, embarrassed. Sorry, I should be tougher. You're plenty tough. You climbed that cliff. You fought. You survived. You're tough enough. Then why do I feel so weak? Because you're human. Because what we saw would break anyone. Being broken doesn't make you weak. It makes you normal. We stood there for a while. Two broken men. Two survivors, neither of us knowing what to do with that fact. This morning I helped them collect personal effects, going through the belongings of the dead, making sure everything got sent home to the right families. I found Anderson's pack, the Anderson who died on the boat. He had letters in there. From his parents, from a girlfriend, all unopened. He'd been saving them, planning to read them after the mission, after he survived. He never got the chance. I set them aside. Someone would mail them back to his family, along with the letter explaining that their son died bravely, died quickly, didn't suffer. All the lies we tell to make it easier. I found Billy Patterson's gear, his Bible. He'd wanted me to give it to my children someday. I took it. Put it in my own pack. I'd keep that promise. Went through maybe 30 packs, 30 dead men, 30 sets of letters and photos and mementos. 30 lives ended. 30 families that would be destroyed when they got the telegrams. And for what? For a cliff. For some guns that weren't even there. For a position that might or might not have mattered strategically. I'm getting cynical. Bitter. Need to stop. Need to remember the mission mattered. That we saved lives. That the sacrifice had meaning. But it's hard. Hard to believe that when I'm going through dead men's belongings. When I'm counting names. When I'm trying to remember what they looked like so I can write letters to their families. Speaking of which, I've written 3 letters today, to Billy Patterson's mother, to Davis's parents, to that first Anderson's girlfriend. What do you say? How do you explain that someone they loved is gone forever? That they died in a foreign country for reasons they might not fully understand? I told them their sons were heroes, that they died quickly, that they were brave, that they served with honor, that their sacrifices mattered. All true, also all inadequate. Words can't capture what happened, can't communicate the horror and the fear and the randomness. Words are just words. They mean nothing to someone who's lost everything, but they're all I have. So I write them, and I seal them, and I hand them to the mail clerk, and I hope they bring some small comfort to people I've never met and never will meet. This afternoon a war correspondent showed up, Ernie Pyle, famous guy, writes about the war from the soldier's perspective. He wanted to interview some of us about Pointe du Hoc. I didn't want to talk to him, but Colonel Rudder said it was good for morale, good for the folks back home. So I sat down with him. He asked me what it was like, the assault, the climbing, the fighting. I tried to explain, tried to find words for what I'd experienced, but they all felt wrong, inadequate, like trying to describe color to someone who's never seen. It was hell, I said finally. That's the best I can do. It was hell and we survived it and I don't know how. Pyle wrote that down. Then he looked at me. Really looked at me. You're going to carry this for a long time, he said quietly. Maybe forever. The things you saw, the things you did, they don't go away just because the fighting stops. I know. Talk about it. Write about it. Don't let it fester inside you. That's how it destroys you. Is that what you do? I try. I've seen too much too. Different battlefields, same horror. I write about it because if I don't, I'll go crazy. Does it help? Sometimes. Sometimes it just makes it worse. But at least I'm not keeping it locked inside. After he left, I thought about what he said, about writing, about not keeping it locked inside. That's what this diary is, isn't it? My way of processing, my way of getting it out. My way of trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. I don't know if it's working. Don't know if it helps or hurts. But I keep writing. Because what else can I do? It's getting dark. I should try to sleep again. Tomorrow we might get orders. Might go back to the front. Might stay here. Who knows? All I know is I survived Pointe du Hoc. Survived the first 2 days of the invasion. survived something I wasn't supposed to survive. And now I have to figure out how to live with that. How to be the man who climbed that cliff and killed those men and watched his friends die. How to carry that and still function, still be human, still love Sarah and have a life and teach children. I don't know if I can, don't know if anyone can, but I have to try. Because they're dead and I'm alive. And that means something, has to mean something. Otherwise, what was the point? June 12th, 1944. Afternoon, reserve position near Vierville-sur-Mer. Letters from home arrived today. Bags and bags of letters. Written weeks ago. Before D-Day. Before Pointe du Hoc. Before everything changed. I got 8 letters from Sarah. All written over the past month. I read them out of order. Couldn't help it. Tore open the first one I grabbed. She wrote about wedding plans. About flowers and music and whether her cousin Emily should be a bridesmaid, about little details that seemed so important to her, about a life that feels impossibly far away now. I tried reading the second letter, got halfway through, had to stop, couldn't do it, couldn't read about normal life while sitting here covered in the emotional aftermath of battle. The contrast was too much, too jarring, like looking at 2 different universes. One where people worry about bridesmaid dresses. One where people die screaming in mud. Both real. Both happening at the same time. But impossible to reconcile. I tried writing back. Sat there with paper and pen. Stared at the blank page for an hour. Couldn't think of what to say. What do I tell her? That I'm alive? That I killed men? That I watched friends die? That I'm not the same person who left England? That I might never be that person again? No, can't tell her any of that. Would just hurt her. Worry her, make her suffer more than she already is. So what do I say instead? That I love her, that I miss her, that I can't wait to come home, all true, but also inadequate. Words that mean something but also mean nothing because they can't capture the distance between us now. In the end, I wrote 3 sentences. I'm alive. I love you. I'll come home. That's it. That's all I could manage. Sealed it, addressed it, put it with the outgoing mail. 3 sentences to sum up the most intense experience of my life. 3 sentences to bridge a gap that might be unbridgeable. It's not enough. I know it's not enough, but it's all I have. This afternoon they told us we'd be here for at least another week. Rest and recuperation. Let the wounded heal. Let the traumatized recover. Get ready for the next mission. Because there will be a next mission. The war didn't stop because we climbed one cliff. There's still a whole continent to liberate, still Germans to fight, still miles to go. But for now, we rest. Some of the guys are playing cards, baseball, trying to pretend things are normal. I can't do it. Can't pretend. The normalcy feels like a lie. Instead, I've been walking, just walking around the area, trying to tire myself out, trying to exhaust myself so maybe I can sleep tonight without the dreams. Doesn't work. Walked for hours. Still can't sleep. The dreams come anyway. I dream about the cliff, about climbing, about looking down and seeing nothing but rocks and death. About my hands slipping, about falling, always falling, hitting the rocks, waking up just before impact. I dream about Billy Patterson, about holding his hand, about watching him die, about his last words. In the dreams, he asked me why I didn't save him, why I let him die, and I don't have an answer. I dream about that German soldier, the one I killed with the entrenching tool, but in the dreams, he doesn't die. He gets up, his skull puts itself back together, and he asks me why. Why did you kill me? What did I do to you? And I don't have an answer for that either. I wake up gasping, covered in sweat, heart pounding, and it takes me a minute to remember where I am, to remember it's over, to remember I survived. Then I realize it's not over. Not really. The fighting might be paused, but the war in my head is just beginning. This is shell shock. I know the term. We studied it in training. They told us to watch for the signs, the nightmares, the shaking, the inability to eat or sleep, the emotional numbness alternating with overwhelming emotion. I have all of it. Every symptom. I'm textbook shell-shocked. But what do you do about it? How do you fix it? The medic said time helps, said talking helps, said trying to process it helps. So I'm writing. I'm trying. I'm doing what I can, but I don't know if it's enough. Don't know if anything is enough to fix what's broken inside me. I saw Brooklyn's name on the wounded list. He made it to England, to a hospital. He's alive, recovering. He'll lose the leg permanently, but he'll live. He'll go home to Angela and Rose. He'll hold his daughter finally. That's something. That's a win. Small victory in the midst of all this loss. Tommy's on the list too. Infection under control. Shoulder healing. He'll probably be sent home. Back to Tennessee. Back to his mama and her sweet tea in that porch. He made it. He survived. 19 years old and he survived hell. I'm glad. So glad. Two men who deserved to live. Who had families waiting. Who had lives to live. They made it, but others didn't. Too many others. The casualty list is long. Names I knew, names I didn't. All gone. I count them sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep. Count the dead from our company. Try to remember their faces, their voices, something about them so they don't just become numbers. 37 dead, 42 wounded, out of 70 who landed. That's a casualty rate of over 80%. We were destroyed, gutted, most of the company gone. We accomplished the mission, but at a cost so high it's hard to comprehend. And we're supposed to just recover from that? Just rest for a week and then go fight again? Pretend we're fine? I don't know how, don't know if I can, but I'll try. Because what choice do I have? The war doesn't stop for trauma, doesn't pause for grief. It just keeps going and you keep going with it or you break. Maybe I'm already broken. Maybe we all are. Maybe that's just the price of war and we have to accept it. But accepting it doesn't make it easier. I miss Sarah. Miss her so much it hurts. Want to see her. Hold her. Have her tell me everything's going to be okay, even if it's a lie. But she's in London and I'm in France, and there's no way to bridge that distance. Not physically, not emotionally, not until this is over, if it's ever over. The sun setting, beautiful sunset, orange and red and purple. The kind of sunset that makes you think the world is beautiful, that life is worth living, that there's hope. But then I remember that same sun set over Pointe du Hoc, set over fields of dead men, and the beauty feels like mockery, like the world doesn't care about our suffering, just keeps turning, keeps going. Beautiful sunsets, pure sunsets over ugly death. I need to stop. This is getting too dark, too bitter. Need to find something to hold on to. Some reason to keep going, Sarah. My parents, my students, the future. The hope that this will end and life will be worth living again. That has to be enough. Has to be. I'll make it enough. June 14th, 1944. Late morning. Reserve position near Vierville-sur-Mer. Tommy died. The words don't feel real, can't be real. But they are. Tommy died. Not from his shoulder wound. That was healing. From infection, gangrene, it spread faster than anyone expected. Faster than the antibiotics could stop it. He was in a field hospital near the beach. I didn't even know he was in trouble. Thought he was recovering. Thought he was going to make it. Then this morning they told me, Private First Class Thomas Wright, dead, June 13th, 1944. Approximately 2100 hours. He was 19 years old. I can't breathe, can't think, can't process this. Tommy survived the landing, survived the climb, survived 2 days of brutal fighting, survived long enough to be evacuated, survived long enough to think he was going home, then died anyway. From an infection, from bad luck, from the randomness of war that doesn't stop killing just because the battle's over. They let me see his body. I don't know why I asked, don't know why I needed to. But I did. He looked peaceful, like he was sleeping, his freckles still visible, still looking 19, still looking like a kid from Tennessee who should have been on a farm instead of in a war. I wanted to shake him, wake him up, tell him to stop playing, tell him we made it. We survived. He can go home now, but he can't. He's gone, really gone, and there's nothing I can do about it. I remembered my promise, took his Bible from my pack, the one he asked me to keep, to give to my children, to tell them about the boy from Tennessee. I'll keep it. I'll honor that promise. But God, I wish I didn't have to. Wish he was keeping it himself. Wish he was going home to give it to his own children someday. I have to write to his mother. Told him I would. Told him if something happened, I'd tell her what he did, why it mattered, that he was brave. I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to write that letter. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than climbing the cliff. Harder than killing that German. Harder than anything. Because how do I tell a mother her son is dead? That he survived the battle only to die from an infection? That his last words to me were about her, about going home? I finally wrote it. Don't know if it's any good. Don't know if anything I say will help. But I tried. Dear Mrs. Wright, my name is Staff Sergeant James Kellerman. I served with your son Thomas in the 2nd Ranger Battalion. I'm writing to tell you about your son and what kind of man he was. Tommy was one of the bravest men I ever met. He volunteered for a mission that most men wouldn't even attempt. He scaled a cliff under enemy fire. He fought for 2 days with courage and determination. He never complained, never wavered. He talked about you constantly, about home, about Tennessee, about your biscuits and sweet tea and the porch where he wanted to sit with you. He loved you very much, more than anything in the world. When he was wounded, he was evacuated to a hospital. The doctors said he was going to be fine, that he would recover, but sometimes war keeps taking even after the fighting stops. Tommy died from an infection on June 13th. I was not with him at the end, and that will haunt me forever. But I know that he was thinking of you. I know that he wanted to come home. I know that he did his duty with honor and courage. Your son was a hero, Mrs. Wright, not because of how he died, but because of how he lived. He was kind and brave and good. He was my friend, and I will miss him for the rest of my life. I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry. If there's anything I can do, please let me know. Tommy asked me to keep his Bible, to give it to my children someday, to tell them about him. I will honor that promise. Your son will not be forgotten. He mattered. His life mattered, and his sacrifice helped save countless others. I hope that brings some small comfort. With deepest sympathy, Staff Sergeant James Kellerman. I read it over. It's inadequate, all of it. Words on paper can't capture Tommy, can't capture what he meant, can't ease his mother's pain. But it's all I have. So I sealed it. Addressed it to Mrs. Martha Wright, Tennessee. Put it with the outgoing mail. Another letter. Another death. Another family destroyed. How many of these letters will I write? How many friends will I lose? How many promises will I have to keep to the dead? I don't know. Too many. That's the only answer. Too many. After I mailed the letter, I went for a walk. Ended up at a small cemetery they'd set up near the beach. Temporary graves, white crosses, rows and rows of them. I found Tommy's cross. Fresh dirt. His dog tags hanging from the cross. His name written in marker on a piece of wood. PFC Thomas Wright, 2nd Ranger Battalion, June 13th, 1944. That's all. That's all his life reduces to. A name, a date, a cross in a foreign country. I stood there for a long time, tried to pray, couldn't find the words, just stood there with my hand on his cross. I'm sorry, I finally said out loud. I'm sorry I didn't keep you safe. I'm sorry you had to die. I'm sorry your mama won't get to hug you again. I'm sorry for all of it. The cross didn't answer. The dead don't speak. They just lie there in the ground and rot while the living try to make meaning out of meaningless death. I'm angry. So angry I can barely see straight. Angry at the Germans. Angry at the war. Angry at God for letting this happen. Angry at myself for surviving when Tommy didn't. Why him? Why not me? What's special about me? What right do I have to live when he's dead? There's no answer. No logic. Just chance. Just the random distribution of death that doesn't care about fairness or justice or who deserves what. Tommy deserved to live. He was young. He was good. He had his whole life ahead of him. He should have gone home. Should have married a Tennessee girl and had 6 kids like I joked about. Should have worked his family's farm and grown old and died in his bed surrounded by grandchildren. Instead, he died at 19 from an infection in a French field hospital. Alone. Scared. Far from home. And I have to live with that. Have to carry the knowledge that I survived and he didn't. Have to keep his Bible and tell his story and somehow make his death mean something. But it doesn't mean anything. That's the truth I don't want to face. It's meaningless. Random. Tommy's death didn't save anyone. Didn't accomplish anything. He just died because infections happen and medicine fails and war kills in so many ways. No, Can't think like that. Have to believe it meant something. Have to believe the mission mattered. That Tommy's service mattered. That he died part of something bigger than himself. Have to believe that or go crazy. It's afternoon now. The sun is shining. Birds are singing. Somewhere a radio is playing music. Life goes on. The world doesn't stop for Tommy Wright or any of the other dead boys lying under white crosses. I'm so tired. Tired of death. Tired of loss. Tired of writing letters to mothers. Tired of surviving while others don't. But I'll keep going. Because Tommy would want me to. Because I promised him I'd tell his story. Because I owe him that much. I'm alive. He's dead. That's the reality. And I have to figure out how to live with it. Tommy Wright, 19 years old, from Tennessee, loved his mama, wanted to go home, died June 13th, 1944. I won't let him be forgotten. Rest in peace, kid. You deserve better than this. We all did. June 16th, 1944. Night. Reserve position near Vieilleville-sur-Mer. I can't sleep again. Nightmares every time I close my eyes. So I'm writing instead. I've been thinking about Tommy, about Billy Patterson, about Anderson and Davis and Brooklyn and all the others, about what their deaths mean, if they mean anything at all. I keep coming back to this question. What makes a death meaningful? What makes a sacrifice worthwhile? The official answer is easy. They died for freedom, for democracy, for the liberation of Europe, for a cause greater than themselves. Noble deaths, heroic deaths, deaths that mattered. But when I was holding Billy Patterson's hand while he bled out, it didn't feel noble. It felt like waste. Like a 19-year-old kid dying in agony because a bullet happened to hit him in the wrong place. When I got the news about Tommy, it didn't feel like sacrifice. It felt like bad luck. Like he survived the hard part only to be killed by something stupid and preventable. So which is it? Noble sacrifice or meaningless waste? I don't know. Maybe by both. Maybe neither. Maybe it depends on who's looking and when they're looking and what they need to believe. The historians will write about Pointe du Hoc, about the Rangers who scaled impossible cliffs and destroyed enemy guns and held against overwhelming odds. They'll call it one of the great achievements of D-Day, a textbook example of courage and determination, and they won't be wrong. We did do that. We did accomplish something important. The guns we destroyed would have killed thousands. The position we held bought time for the invasion to succeed, but they'll leave out the parts that don't fit the narrative. They'll leave out Anderson drowning in training, Billy Patterson dying in the mud, Tommy dying from infection days after the battle, the German soldier with the wedding ring, the fear and the horror and the randomness. They'll tell a story, a clean story, a story with heroes and villains and clear moral lessons, a story that makes sense. But the truth doesn't make sense. The truth is messy and complicated and full of contradictions. The truth is that we were heroes and cowards and murderers and victims all at once. The truth is that we did something important and something terrible. The truth is that we saved lives and took lives, and some of us gave our lives, and there's no clean way to balance that equation. I used to be a history teacher. I taught my students about wars, about brave soldiers, about important battles. I made it all make sense. I gave them the clean narrative, the story with lessons. Now I know better. Now I know that war is chaos, that heroism and cowardice exist in the same moment, that people die for reasons and for no reason at all, that you can do the right thing and still feel like a monster. How do I go back to teaching after this? How do I stand in front of a classroom and talk about wars when I know what war really is? I don't have an answer. Maybe I'll find one someday. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just fake it. Tell the clean story, because that's what people want. That's what helps them sleep at night. But I'll know the truth, and it'll eat at me. And maybe that's my punishment for surviving. Maybe that's what I carry. I got another letter from Sarah today. She's worried. Said she heard about D-Day on the radio, heard about Rangers at Pointe du Hoc, asked if that was me, asked if I'm okay. I don't know how to answer. Am I okay? Physically, yes. No wounds, no injuries, just some rope burns and bruises that are healing. But otherwise, no. Not even close. I'm fundamentally changed, fundamentally broken in ways I don't fully understand yet, but I can't tell her that, Can't worry her more than she already is. So I'll write back and say I'm fine. Say the mission was tough, but we succeeded. Say I'll be home as soon as possible. Say I love her. All true, also all inadequate. But what else can I do? This afternoon they told us we're getting new replacements. Fresh rangers to bring the company back up to strength. Young kids, probably never seen combat. They'll join us and we'll train them and then we'll go back to the fight. I don't want to train them, don't want to teach them how to kill, don't want to watch them go through what we went through, don't want to write letters to their mothers when they die. But I will, because that's my job now. That's what staff sergeants do. We train the new guys. We keep them alive as long as possible. We do our duty, even when our duty feels like leading lambs to slaughter. God, I'm bitter tonight. Can't shake it. The bitterness and anger and grief all mixing together into something toxic. I need to find a way to let it go. Need to find peace. Need to find something to believe in besides the horror. But I don't know how. Don't know where to start. Maybe I just need time. That's what everyone keeps saying. Time heals, time helps, time makes it easier. I hope they're right. Hope that someday I'll be able to think about Tommy without wanting to scream. Think about Billy Patterson without feeling guilty. Think about that German soldier without feeling sick. Someday. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. I have to believe that. Have to believe I'll heal eventually. Have to believe I'll be able to go home and be the man Sarah fell in love with. The man who taught history and coached baseball and had dreams of a normal life. I'm not that man anymore, but maybe I can become a version of him. Maybe I can build something new from the wreckage. Maybe there's hope. Tommy's Bible is in my pack. I took it out earlier, opened it. His mother had written an inscription on the inside cover. To my beloved son Thomas, may God watch over you always. Love, Mama. God didn't watch over him, or if he did, he didn't do a very good job. Tommy's dead and God's still in heaven, and I don't know what to make of that. I used to have faith, used to believe in divine providence, in God's plan, in everything happening for a reason. Don't know if I still believe that. Hard to see God's plan in a teenager dying from gangrene. Hard to see divine providence in random bullets and random infections and random death. Maybe there is no plan. Maybe it's all just chaos and we impose meaning on it after the fact because we can't handle the alternative. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just too close to it, too traumatized to see clearly. Maybe someday I'll understand. Maybe someday it'll all make sense. But tonight, sitting here in a barn in France with a dead friend's Bible and blood under my fingernails that won't wash out completely, I can't see it. Can't see the sense, can't see the plan. All I see is waste and loss and the terrible randomness of death. And I have to live with that, have to carry it, have to somehow keep functioning despite it. So I will. Because I don't have a choice. Because Tommy and Billy and all the others don't get to keep going. But I do. And I owe it to them to make something of this life I still have. I don't know what that looks like yet. Don't know how to honor them properly. But I'll figure it out. I have to. The night is quiet, just the sound of men breathing in sleep, the occasional cough or nightmare-induced cry, the distant rumble of artillery from the front. I should try to sleep. Tomorrow's another day, more training, more preparing, more pretending to be okay. But for now, I'm writing. I'm processing. I'm trying to make sense of the senseless, and tomorrow I'll get up, I'll put on my uniform, I'll do my duty, I'll keep going. Because that's all any of us can do. Keep going. June 18th, 1944. Morning. Reserve position near Vieilleville-sur-Mer. They held a ceremony this morning. Awards and commendations for the men who fought at Pointe du Hoc. I received a Bronze Star. For meritorious service in connection with military operations against an enemy. That's the official language. In practice, it means they're giving me a medal for destroying those guns in the orchard, for doing my job, for surviving. Colonel Rudder gave a speech. Talked about heroism, about how we'd accomplished the impossible, about how the 2nd Ranger Battalion had written a new chapter in military history, about how we should be proud. The speech was fine, well delivered, sincere, and it made me want to vomit. I stood there in formation with the other survivors. 29 of us left from the original 70. We lined up, they called out names, we marched forward, they pinned medals to our chests, we saluted, we marched back. The whole thing felt hollow, empty, like we were performing a play about heroism instead of actually being heroes. I don't feel like a hero. I feel like a fraud, a survivor who was lucky enough to be standing in the right place at the right time, who climbed a cliff because the alternative was staying on a beach where I'd die, who killed men because they were trying to kill me, who couldn't save his friends. That's not heroism. That's just survival, brutal, primitive survival. But they gave me a medal anyway. Bronze Star. It's heavy, sits on my chest like an anchor, like it's trying to drag me down. After the ceremony, some of the new replacements came up to us, fresh-faced kids who just arrived. They looked at us like we were gods, like we'd done something they couldn't imagine doing. One kid asked me what it was like, climbing the cliff, fighting the Germans, being a hero. I looked at him, really looked at him. He couldn't have been more than 18, baby face, bright eyes, eager, like a puppy. It was hell, I told him. And I'm not a hero, I just didn't die, that's all. Don't confuse luck with heroism. He looked confused, disappointed, like I'd said the wrong thing, like I was supposed to inspire him with tales of glory and courage. But I'm done lying, done pretending. If these kids are going to fight, they deserve to know the truth. Listen to me, I said. War isn't like the movies. It's not glorious. It's not an adventure. It's mud and blood and watching your friends die. It's killing people who might be just like you. It's surviving when better men don't and then having to figure out how to live with that. If you're lucky, you'll never have to learn that firsthand. But if you do, remember what I'm telling you. There are no heroes, just survivors and corpses. Don't try to be a hero. Just try to stay alive and keep your buddies alive. That's all you can do. The kid nodded slowly, looked less eager, more scared. Good. He should be scared. Fear might keep him alive. After he left, another veteran found me. Martinez. He'd been at the ceremony too. Got a Bronze Star also. That was harsh, he said. It was honest. The kid needs hope, needs something to believe in. The kid needs truth. Hope doesn't stop bullets. Martinez sighed. Maybe you're right. I don't know anymore. Don't know what to tell them. Don't know what to tell myself. We stood there for a while, two broken men wearing medals they didn't want, trying to figure out how to carry on. You going to keep fighting? Martinez asked. Don't have a choice. War's not over. But what if you did have a choice? I thought about it, really thought about it. What would I do if I could just walk away, go home, leave all this behind? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to run, get as far from this war as possible. But another part feels like I have to stay, like I owe it to Tommy and Billy and all the others. Like if I leave, their deaths mean even less. That's the trap, though, Martinez said. Thinking we can make their deaths mean something by killing more people, by dying ourselves. It's all just more death piled on top of death. Where does it end? When we win. When we liberate Europe. When we stop the Germans. And how many more Tommies do we create in the process? How many more mothers get letters? I didn't have an answer. Still don't. The truth is, Martinez is right. We can't make the dead matter more by adding to their number, but we also can't just stop. The war exists whether we want it to or not. The Germans aren't going to stop because we're tired of fighting. They're not going to liberate themselves. So we keep going. We keep fighting. We keep adding to the pile of corpses. Because that's war. Because that's what we signed up for, even if we didn't fully understand what it meant. And we wear our medals and accept our commendations and pretend it's all worthwhile. Because the alternative is admitting it's meaningless. And we can't do that. Can't admit we've destroyed ourselves for nothing. So we tell the story, the hero story, the one where brave rangers scaled impossible cliffs and saved the invasion, the one where sacrifices had meaning and deaths had purpose. And maybe if we tell it enough times, we'll start to believe it ourselves. But right now, standing here with this Bronze Star on my chest, I don't believe it. I just feel empty and angry and guilty for being alive when Tommy's not. The metal doesn't change that, doesn't fix anything. It's just a piece of metal, cold and heavy and meaningless. But I'll wear it, because that's what you do. You accept the medals and the praise and the empty words about heroism. You play your part. You help maintain the illusion, because the truth is too terrible. The truth is that we're all just broken children playing at war, killing and dying for reasons we don't fully understand, trying to make meaning out of chaos, trying to believe we matter. Maybe we do. Maybe history will remember Pointe du Hoc as something important. Maybe our sacrifices will be taught in schools. Maybe students like mine used to be will read about it and feel inspired. But I hope they never truly understand. Hope they never have to learn what it really cost. Hope they can keep believing in the clean version, the hero version. Because once you know the truth, you can't unknow it, and it changes you forever. I'm changed. Fundamentally, irreversibly. The man who left England doesn't exist anymore. The teacher who loved history and dreamed of a simple life, he's gone, dead, buried under those white crosses alongside Tommy and all the others. What's left? I don't know. Someone harder, more cynical, more damaged. Someone who wears a bronze star and feels nothing but shame. Is that who I am now? Is that who Sarah will get when I come home? Is that who will stand in front of a classroom and teach children about wars? God, I hope not. Hope I can find some part of the old me. Hope I can rebuild something resembling a normal person. But I don't know if that's possible. Don't know if you can go through hell and come out unchanged. Don't know if the human mind can process this much trauma and still function normally. I guess I'll find out, years from now, decades from now. When I'm old and the war's history and I'm still carrying Pointe du Hoc inside me like a wound that won't heal. For now, I just keep going. One day at a time, one foot in front of the other, wearing my bronze star like a scarlet letter, carrying my guilt and my grief and my broken sense of meaning. That's all I can do. That's all any of us can do. June 19th, 1944. Afternoon, reserve position near Vieuville-sur-Mer. I visited Pointe du Hoc today. One last time before we move out to a new position. They let a small group of us go, said we could pay our respects, see the ground we fought for one more time. I almost didn't go, didn't want to see it again, didn't want to remember. But something pulled me there, some need for closure, or understanding, or something. It's only been 13 days since we landed. 13 days. Feels like a lifetime. The beach is clean now. Bodies removed, equipment salvaged or destroyed. The stones are still there, the cliffs are still there, but the blood is gone, the visual evidence of death erased. Only you can still see it if you know where to look. Dark stains on the rocks, scorch marks from explosions. Rope burns on the cliff face where we climbed, bullet holes in the concrete. The ghosts are there too. I could see them, feel them. Anderson falling in the water, Davis with his head gone, Billy Patterson bleeding out. All of them. Everywhere I looked. I climbed up to the top, used the path this time, no rope required, just a steep trail carved into the cliff. At the top, the devastation is still visible. Bomb craters, destroyed bunkers, shell casings by the thousands, discarded equipment, the scarred earth showing what hell we unleashed here. The gun emplacements are still empty. Strange to see them now, knowing we climbed that cliff for empty concrete rooms, knowing the guns were never there. But then we found them, we destroyed them, we completed the mission even if the mission wasn't what we expected. Does that make it better? Does that justify the cost? I still don't know. I walked to the perimeter where we held out. The craters where we fought off German counterattacks. Some of them still have equipment in them. Discarded rifles, empty ammunition boxes, helmets. I found the crater where I killed that German soldier, could still see the blood on the ground, dried now, brown instead of red, but unmistakably blood. I stood there for a long time staring at that stain, remembering the feel of the entrenching tool in my hands, the crunch of his skull, the way he twitched and died. Who was he? I'll never know. Some young German conscript, maybe a volunteer, maybe a true believer in Hitler's cause, maybe someone who hated the Nazis but got drafted anyway. Doesn't matter. He's dead. I killed him. And he'll haunt me forever. Nearby was another crater, the one where I held Billy Patterson. I could almost see him there, lying in the mud, holding my hand, asking me to stay with him. I knelt down, touched the ground, as if somehow I could connect with him. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I remember. I kept my promise, I said out loud. I told your mother. I'm keeping your memory alive. You're not forgotten. The wind was blowing across the cliff top, Cold wind from the channel. It felt like an answer. Or maybe just wind. I don't know. I found the hedgerow where we discovered the guns, the orchard. The trees are still there, scorched from the thermite grenades but still standing. 6 circles of melted metal mark where the guns were. Destroyed. Mission accomplished. I thought about the men who died to make this happen, who never got to see this, who never knew if their sacrifices mattered, who died thinking maybe it was all for nothing. I hope they're at peace, hope they know we succeeded, hope they understand their deaths had meaning. But I doubt they know anything. They're just dead, gone, rotted back into the earth. This place is no more significant to them now than any other patch of dirt in France. Only we the living care. Only we assign meaning. Only we carry the weight. I walked back toward the cliff edge, looked out over the channel, could see England on the horizon, barely, just a dark smudge, but there, home, or the closest thing to home this side of the Atlantic. Tommy should be over there, in a hospital, recovering, preparing to go home to Tennessee. But instead he's in a cemetery near the beach, under a white cross. 19 years old, forever. The injustice of it all hits me like a wave. The waste, the randomness, the terrible truth that good people die for no reason while bastards survive. I survived. Me. A history teacher from Pennsylvania who had no business being here, who wasn't particularly brave or strong or special, who was just lucky. And Tommy died, a good kid, a decent human being, someone who deserved a full life, gone, for nothing, for an infection, for bad luck. Where's the justice in that? Where's the meaning? Where's the divine plan that makes any of this make sense? There isn't one. That's the truth I keep coming back to. There's no plan, no meaning, no justice, just chaos and death in the living, trying to make sense of it after the fact. And yet we keep fighting, keep climbing cliffs, keep destroying guns, keep holding positions, keep trying to win this war. Why? For what? For whom? For the people back home who don't have to face this. For the future generations who won't grow up under fascism. For the abstract concept of freedom that we can't even properly define but know is worth defending. And for each other. For the men standing next to us who are just as scared and just as lost and just as desperate to survive. For Tommy and Billy and all the others who died. For their memory. For the hope that their deaths weren't completely meaningless. That's why we keep going. Not for medals or glory or anything noble. Just for each other. Just to keep the promise we made when we put on these uniforms. To see it through, to finish what we started, to somehow make it home. I spent 2 hours at Pointe du Hoc, walking around, remembering, trying to process, trying to find some kind of closure. I didn't find it. The place is just a place. Rocks and dirt and ruined fortifications. The significance we give it is all in our heads. All in our need to believe it mattered. Maybe it did matter. Maybe historians will look back and say Pointe du Hoc was crucial to D-Day's success. Maybe those guns would have killed thousands if we hadn't destroyed them. Maybe our sacrifice saved lives. Or maybe not. Maybe those guns were already useless. Maybe they'd been moved weeks ago and our intelligence was wrong. Maybe we died for nothing. I don't know. Can't know. All I know is it happened. We climbed, we fought, we died, we survived, and now we have to live with it. I took a stone from the beach, same as I did that first day. Smooth, cold, heavy. A piece of Pointe du Hoc to carry with me. I don't know why. Don't know what I'll do with it. Maybe give it to my children someday. Maybe throw it in the ocean. Maybe just keep it in my pocket as a reminder of what I survived, of what it cost, of the men who didn't make it. As I was leaving, I saw them, the new grave markers. They'd started a cemetery up top, temporary, until they can move the bodies to proper cemeteries. But for now, white crosses, rows of them. I found Tommy's name. They'd moved him here from the beach cemetery, closer to where we fought, where he fought. PFC Thomas Wright, 2nd Ranger Battalion. June 13th, 1944, Tennessee. I knelt by his cross, didn't know what to say, didn't know if he could hear, didn't know if it mattered. I'm so sorry, Tommy, I finally said. You deserve better, deserve to go home, Deserve to see your mama again. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry you're here instead of Tennessee. I'm sorry for all of it. The wind blew. The cross swayed slightly. No answer. Just silence and the smell of the sea. I'm going to keep fighting, I continued. Going to try to win this war. Going to try to make your death mean something. Don't know if I can. Don't know if anything can make this mean something. But I'm going to try. For you, for Billy, for all the others. I'm going to try. I stood up, saluted, then walked away. Left Tommy there on that cliff overlooking the channel. Left him with the other dead. The growing number of American boys who'd never go home. Tomorrow we move out. Back to the war, back to the fight. There's still a continent to liberate. Still Germans to kill. Still miles to go before we rest. But tonight I'm thinking about Pointe du Hoc, about what we accomplished and what it cost. About the men who climbed with me and didn't make it back down. About the randomness and the horror and the terrible beauty of surviving. I'm alive. They're dead. That's the reality. And I have to figure out how to live with it. How to honor them. How to make it mean something. I don't have answers. Just questions. Just grief. Just the weight of too many memories and too much loss. But I'll keep going. Because that's what we do. That's what survivors do. We keep going. For them. For us. For whatever future waits on the other side of this hell. We keep going. June 20th, 1944. Evening. Aboard ship returning to England. We're going back to England. The company's being pulled out. Too many casualties. Need to refit, retrain, rebuild. I'm standing on the deck of a transport ship, watching the French coast disappear in the distance. The sun is setting, orange and red and gold. Beautiful. Like the world is on fire. Maybe it is. Somewhere back there, men are still fighting, still dying. The war continues. But for us, for now, it's over. We're going back. Back to England. Back to safety. Back to something resembling normal life. I don't know how to feel about that. Relief, guilt, both, neither. My emotions are a jumbled mess. Can't untangle them. Can't make sense of anything. 14 days ago, I left England as one person. Now I'm returning as someone completely different. 14 days. That's all it took to shatter everything I thought I was. Everything I thought I understood. I used to be a history teacher. Used to think I understood war. Used to believe in noble causes and heroic sacrifices and meaning. Now I know better. Now I know that war is just death. Random, pointless death dressed up in uniforms and flags and patriotic language. Now I know that heroes are just people who didn't die. That courage is just fear that doesn't stop you. That meaning is something we impose after the fact because we can't handle the alternative. The man who left England doesn't exist anymore. He died on that beach, in that cliff, in those craters. He's buried with Tommy and Billy and all the others. What's left? I don't know. Someone harder, someone broken, someone who's seen too much and done too much and can never unsee or undo any of it. Is that who I am now? Is that who will go home to Sarah? Is that who will try to teach again? Is that who will try to have a normal life? God, I hope not. Hope I can find something of the old me. Hope I can rebuild. Hope there's a path back to human. But I don't know if there is. Don't know if you can climb through hell and come out unchanged. Don't know if the human mind is designed to handle this much trauma and still function. I guess I'll find out, years from now, when the war is over and I'm trying to sleep without nightmares, when I'm trying to teach children about history without breaking down, when I'm trying to love Sarah without the ghost getting in the way. I've been thinking about what I learned these past 2 weeks, what lessons I can take from all this horror. Lesson 1. War is not what the history books say it is. It's not grand strategies and noble sacrifices. It's mud and blood and watching your friends die in random ways. It's killing people who might be just like you. It's surviving when better people don't and trying to figure out why. Lesson 2. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being terrified and doing it anyway. It's climbing a cliff because staying on the beach means dying. It's fighting because your friends are fighting and you can't let them down. It's surviving another day even when you don't want to. Lesson 3. There are no heroes, just survivors and corpses. The difference is luck, being in the right place at the right time. Ducking when you should duck. Zig when you should zig. Random chance that means nothing and everything. Lesson 4. Death is random. It doesn't care about your plans or your dreams or your family waiting for you. It doesn't care if you're good or bad or somewhere in between. It just happens. A bullet finds you or it doesn't. An infection kills you or it doesn't. You get lucky or you don't. Lesson 5. The living carry the dead. We carry their memories, their stories, their unfinished lives. We carry the weight of surviving when they didn't. We carry the obligation to make it mean something even when it doesn't. Lesson 6. You can't go back. The person you were before war doesn't exist anymore. War changes you, fundamentally, irreversibly. You can't unsee what you've seen, can't undo what you've done, can only go forward, can only try to build something new from the wreckage. Lesson 7. History is written by the survivors. We tell the story. We decide what it means. We shape how future generations understand what happened. That's a responsibility, a burden, because the truth is too terrible for most people to handle. So we tell the sanitized version, the hero version, the one with meaning and purpose and lessons learned. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the truth is just for us, just for the ones who were there. Those are my lessons. Hard lessons. Terrible lessons. Lessons I wish I'd never had to learn, but I know them now. They're burned into my soul. They're part of who I am, who I'll always be. The French coast is gone now. Can't see it anymore. Just water and sky and the ship cutting through the waves, moving forward, always forward, because you can't go back. Can only keep moving. England will be there tomorrow morning. Clean sheets, hot food, safety, time to recover, to heal, to pretend we're normal people again. But we're not normal. We're rangers. We're the men who climbed Pointe du Hoc. We're the survivors of something that should have killed us. We're changed forever, and we'll carry that change with us through the rest of the war, through the rest of our lives, through everything that comes after. I'm thinking about Sarah, about seeing her again, about trying to explain what happened without actually explaining anything, about holding her and feeling like I'm a million miles away even while she's in my arms. How do I bridge that distance? How do I connect with someone who hasn't been through what I've been through? How do I love her when I'm not sure I'm capable of feeling anything besides numbness and grief? I don't know. But I'll try, because she deserves that, because I owe her that, because maybe love is strong enough to pull me back from the edge. Maybe. I'm thinking about teaching, about standing in front of a classroom again, about looking at students' innocent faces and trying to teach them about wars. What will I say? Will I tell them the truth, or will I tell them the story? The clean version with heroes and villains and clear lessons? Probably the story. The truth would break them, would take their innocence, would burden them with knowledge they don't need, knowledge that won't help them, knowledge that will only hurt. So I'll tell the story. I'll make war sound noble. I'll talk about sacrifice and duty and fighting for freedom. I'll give them the version they can handle, the version that helps them sleep at night, and I'll carry the truth alone. With the other, survivors. With the men who know, who understand, who were there. That's our burden. That's what we carry. I'm thinking about the future, about what kind of world waits on the other side of this war, about whether it'll be better, whether our sacrifices will create something worth having. I hope so. God, I hope so. Hope we're building something good, something lasting, something that makes all this death mean something. But I also know better than to hope too much. Know that humans are humans, that we'll probably find new reasons to fight, new wars to wage, new generation of young men to send to their deaths. And maybe those future soldiers will learn about Pointe du Hoc in their history classes. We'll read about the brave rangers who scaled the cliffs, will be inspired by our story, and they won't know the truth, won't know what it really cost, won't know about Tommy and Billy and all the others, won't know about the fear and the randomness and the terrible weight of surviving. Maybe that's good. Maybe they don't need to know. Maybe the story is enough, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should tell the truth. Maybe future generations deserve to know what war really is, so they'll think twice before starting one, so they'll understand what they're asking of their young men. I don't know. Don't have answers, just questions, just doubts, just the weight of too much knowledge and too much grief. The sun has set, it's dark now. Stars are coming out, the same stars that shine over Pointe du Hoc, over Tommy's grave, over the Channel, over Allentown, over everywhere. The universe doesn't care about our wars, about our deaths, about our little human dramas. It just keeps turning. Stars keep shining. Tide keeps coming in and going out. World keeps spinning. We're so small, so insignificant, fighting and dying over pieces of land that don't care who owns them, killing each other over ideas and flags and borders that won't matter in 100 years. All of it so pointless from that cosmic perspective. And yet it matters to us. It has to matter, because we're the ones living it. We're the ones dying for it. We're the ones carrying the weight. So we make it matter. We tell stories. We assign meaning. We build memorials and write histories and teach our children. We take the chaos and shape it into something we can understand, something we can bear. That's what I'll do. I'll take Pointe du Hoc and I'll shape it into a story. I'll make Tommy's death mean something. I'll make Billy's death mean something. I'll make all of it mean something. Because the alternative is unbearable. The alternative is that we suffered and died for nothing, that all the pain and fear and loss was meaningless, that the universe is cold and random and we're just temporary patterns of matter that don't matter. No, I reject that. I choose meaning. I choose to believe it mattered. I choose to believe Tommy's sacrifice saved lives, that our climb was necessary, that the war is just, that we're fighting for something real. I choose that even though I have doubts, even though I've seen the randomness, even though I know the truth is more complicated, because hope is a choice, meaning is a choice, going on is a choice, and I choose to go on. For Tommy, for Billy, for Brooklyn, for Anderson, for all of them, for Sarah, for my future children, for my students, for everyone. I choose to go on, to survive, to try to build something good from all this horror. That's my promise. To them, to myself, to the future. I'll go on, I'll survive, I'll try to make it mean something, I'll keep my promises, I'll keep Tommy's Bible and tell his story. I'll write to Billy's mother. I'll go home to Sarah and try to love her the way she deserves. I'll teach again and try to help the next generation understand. I'll do all of it. Or I'll die trying. Because that's all I can do. That's all any of us can do. Keep going, keep trying, keep hoping that somehow it'll all be worth it. The ship is cutting through the water. England is getting closer. Dawn will come eventually. And with it, a new chapter. I don't know what that chapter holds. Don't know if I'll heal or stay broken. Don't know if I'll find peace or carry war inside me forever. But I'll face it, whatever comes, whatever I've become, whatever the future holds. I'll face it. Because I'm a survivor. Because I climbed that cliff and made it to the top. Because I fought and killed and grieved and kept going. I'm Staff Sergeant James Kellerman, 2nd Ranger Battalion, 24 years old, from Allentown, Pennsylvania, history teacher, fiance to Sarah Mitchell, survivor of Pointe du Hoc. That's who I am now, for better or worse, and I'll carry that identity forward into whatever comes next. The stone from Pointe du Hoc is in my pocket. Tommy's Bible is in my pack. The memories are in my head. The scars are on my soul. I'll carry all of it, all of them, all the dead and the living and the weight of surviving. I'll carry it because someone has to, because that's what the living do. We carry the dead with us. We tell their stories. We make their deaths mean something. And maybe someday, when the war is over and the years have passed and I'm old, I'll be able to think about Pointe du Hoc without pain, without grief, without the crushing weight of survival. Maybe I'll be able to tell my children about it. About their Uncle Tommy, who never got to meet them, but who they're named after, about the cliff and the battle and the sacrifices. Maybe I'll be able to make it into a story, a real story with meaning and purpose and lessons, or maybe it'll haunt me forever. Maybe I'll never find peace. Maybe the ghosts will follow me until I join them. I don't know. Can't know. All I can do is keep going, one day at a time, one breath at a time, moving forward into whatever future exists on the other side of this war. So that's what I'll do. I'll keep going. I'll survive. I'll try to build a life worth living. I'll try to honor the dead by living well, by loving deeply, by teaching truly, by never forgetting. That's my promise, my mission, my purpose, and I'll keep it, or die trying. The ship moves on through the darkness, toward England, toward tomorrow, toward the unknown future, and I move with it, forward, always forward, because you can't go back, can only go forward, into whatever comes next. Epilogue. A historical note. Staff Sergeant James Kellerman survived World War II. He participated in Operation Market Garden in September 1944 and fought in the Battle of the Bulge during the winter of 1944-45. He earned a Silver Star for actions in Holland and a Purple Heart for wounds received in Belgium. He returned home to Allentown, Pennsylvania in December 1945. He married Sarah Mitchell in February 1946 at St. John's Lutheran Church. They had 3 children: Thomas James Kellerman, born 1947, William Robert Kellerman, born 1949, and Dorothy Sarah Kellerman, born 1952. James returned to teaching at William Allen High School in the fall of 1946. He taught American history and coached baseball until his retirement in 1979. His students remembered him as passionate, demanding, and deeply committed to teaching the truth about war. He never glorified combat. He never called soldiers heroes without also calling them victims. He taught that war should always be the last resort. He suffered from what would later be diagnosed as post-traumatic stress disorder for his entire life. He experienced nightmares, flashbacks, difficulty connecting emotionally with others, including at times his own family. He struggled with depression and survivor's guilt, but he never gave up, never stopped trying to be present for his wife and children, never stopped trying to make meaning from his experiences. In 1963, he wrote a memoir about his time at Pointe du Hoc. He called it The Price of Cliffs. He never published it. His children found it after his death. They said he felt it was too raw, too honest, that people wouldn't want to read the truth. They wanted heroes, not broken survivors trying to make sense of meaningless death. James Kellerman died on March 17, 1989. He was 69 years old. The cause was a heart attack. His funeral was held at St. John's Lutheran Church. Hundreds attended, including former students, teaching colleagues, and 3 surviving members of the 2nd Ranger Battalion who'd fought with him at Pointe du Hoc. He was buried at Grandview Cemetery in Allentown. Military honors. American flag. A simple headstone that reads, James Kellerman, Staff Sergeant, 2nd Ranger Battalion, husband, father, teacher, survivor. His daughter Dorothy donated his diary and bronze star to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans in 2003. They are displayed together in an exhibit about D-Day. Visitors can read selections from the diary and see the medal he couldn't bring himself to wear. The stone from Pointe du Hoc Beach was in his pocket when he died. His family buried it with him, one piece of that cliff going home with him at last. Pointe du Hoc is now a memorial site administered by the American Battle Monuments Commission. Over 1 million people visit each year. They walk the cratered battlefield. They look up at the cliffs and wonder how anyone could have climbed them under fire. They read the plaques about Ranger heroism and D-Day courage. The cliffs still bear the scars from 1944. Rope burns in the rock face, bullet holes in concrete, bomb craters that will never fully heal, silent witnesses to one day's sacrifice. The German gun emplacements still stand, empty concrete rooms, monuments to intelligence failures and the randomness of war, reminders that missions don't always go as planned, that soldiers die for objectives that weren't what they thought, and the cemetery is still there, row upon row of white crosses overlooking the English Channel, including the cross marking Private First Class Thomas Wright's grave. Tennessee, age 19, June 13, 1944. James Kellerman kept his promise. He told Tommy's story. He kept the Bible. His son Thomas, named for Tommy Wright, carries that Bible still. And he tells his children about a boy from Tennessee who wanted to go home but died in France instead, who was brave and kind and deserved better than he got. History remembers Pointe du Hoc as one of the great achievements of D-Day. Military historians call it a textbook example of courage and determination. Tactical experts study the planning and execution. The 2nd Ranger Battalion is celebrated as one of the finest units in American military history, and all of that is true. It was an incredible achievement. The Rangers did accomplish the impossible. Their sacrifice did matter. But James Kellerman would want us to remember something else too. Would want us to remember the cost, the fear, the randomness, the terrible weight of survival. Would want us to understand that heroes are just people who didn't die. That courage is just fear that doesn't stop you. That war is always tragedy, even when it's necessary. He would want us to remember Tommy and Billy and Brooklyn and Anderson and all the others. not as statistics or lessons or abstract sacrifices, but as people. Individuals with families and dreams and lives that were cut short, people who deserve better than war gave them. And he would want us to choose peace, to exhaust every option before resorting to violence, to understand what we're asking when we send young people to war, to count the cost not just in strategic objectives achieved, but in human lives destroyed. That was his final lesson, the one he spent 33 years teaching, the one written in blood on the cliffs of Pointe du Hoc. War is sometimes necessary, but it's always tragedy, always horror, always a failure of civilization. And the people who fight it, who survive it, carry scars that never fully heal. Remember that. When you look at the cliffs, when you read about D-Day, when you study history, remember the cost, remember the people, remember that survival is not the same as victory, that living with what you've seen and done can be harder than dying. Remember James Kellerman, history teacher from Allentown, who climbed a cliff in 1944 and spent the rest of his life trying to understand why he lived when so many others didn't. He never found a satisfactory answer, but he kept searching, kept trying, kept honoring the dead by living as well as he could. That was his victory. Not the cliff, not the mission, not the medals, just surviving, day after day, year after year, carrying the weight, telling the truth, loving his family, teaching his students, making meaning from meaninglessness. That was his victory. Small, human, real. That's what heroes actually look like. Not fearless warriors, just damaged people trying their best to carry on. Remember that. Remember him. Remember them all.